Welcome to Sports Radio's Beat the Line NFL Breakdown Show. Tuesday night, 8 p.m. We break down every single game on the NFL card with my co-host, Rob Bebenek. Thank you all for joining us. Bebsie, how are you this evening?
Jimmy, I could be better, buddy. You saw the weekend I had. How am I supposed to feel good after that?
You know, this is the worst record I've ever seen you have in your rich NFL history, and I expect you to be plus units at the end of the year like you always are. So that's my expectation of you. I believe in you. Yes, it's ugly, and a few consecutive winning weeks will be laughing about your early. Maybe not laughing, but we will. It'll be a distant memory. Your rough start. I believe in you. I believe in you, Bebsie. And I had a rough week too. I've had 2 rough weeks in a row. Thankfully, I started very strong with my first 2 weeks, but I feel like you're going to start rolling. I know for a fact. I know you are going to start rolling. Thank you guys all so much for joining us. Shout out to everybody in the chat. This is our last week of having to cap 16 games. And it is a vicious battle. In the last 2 or 3 games that I'm trying to get together is very, very difficult. Thankfully, I pour myself a glass of Kraken before the show just so I can kind of get out all of the difficulties to properly prepare for the show. So, Bebsie, are you on the sauce this evening?
Jimmy, how can I not be?
Okay, Bebsie, all right. Okay, I'll take that as a yes. Shout out to Brian Watson in the house. Slatsy, Burgundy Bets, Birdie, ready to get to work. Larry Garr, Caveman Bets here says, best bet this week is on the Browns. Getting over plus 100 on the money line is crazy with their terrible run defense. Browns will drop 180 on the ground. Bebsie did cash on the Browns first half and full game this past week. Viper, Dennis Garcia, swerving. I haven't seen enough of you swerving. I hope you are good, my man. There's Turnsy in the house. Pocket quarterback, JT, Adam Galbraith, Whack, Prescott, Ick Schnizzle, Ohio's finest. Dennis Garcia said, I said last week when Bebsie was talking poorly about the Jets, when the Jets went outright, I need Jose to replay that clip. Well, the Jets went outright. I hope the clip was bookmarked for trolling. To Jose.
Hey, when he's right, he's right. What can I say?
He's right often. He's right often. He is right often. He's right often. Beautiful group. Okay. Burgundy Bets liking your name, Bebsie, the Fade Bebsie tag. Dennis Garcia says just 3 hours. 3 hours of work after 10 hours of prep. This is a fucking battle. It's an absolute battle. Brady says gambling and booze. What could go wrong? You're right. I've made no bet so far on this card. JT says you're down, but we are still here. Shows a lot about the analysis and breakdowns you guys do. No sweat. Keep moving. Schnizzle is on the Browns under. Bills plus 2.5. Jets Falcons over so far. That game takes place in the UK. It is time to get to work. Leonard Welch in the house. Let's get to work. A quick review. We don't want to spend a lot of time on what happened. Obviously, my Thursday was atrocious. Bengals, Jacksonville, Cincinnati, over 46, which I still believe was the right play, the over there. Panthers plus 5. I just think the Cowboys are probably that much better than the Panthers with all the extra prep and rest and preparation that the Panthers could put together. Without McCaffrey, they weren't able to cover. Dolphins minus 1.5. I misjudged the want of the Colts, and the Dolphins are they can't run the ball, and Brissett is a poor passer. I mean, they're in a tough spot right now. Tua is throwing. I don't think Tua is going to make that big of a difference. We'll talk about them. Seattle, San Francisco under 52. That was a nice casher. It should have been a very easy casher after a 7-7 first half, but Bears minus 2.5. I still believe that was the easiest spot on the board. I should have got a better line than minus 125. Tennessee, New York Jets under 44.5. That should have cashed. That was unfortunate. The overtime situation there. Houston Buffalo under 47.5 was a cash. Broncos minus 115. I don't know why I added them. I'm gonna stop doing that. If there's a certain percentage of the bets on one team, and then the cash is that much more than the bets, I'll just sit back and relax. I'll just sit back and say, okay, well, I would have done this. I'm not doing anything. Raiders plus 3.5 was a loser. For Bebsie, Lions and Dolphins you went down with, but Browns double up was nice. Packers was an easy cash for you. Buccaneers was a loser. Broncos was a loser. Mac Jones barely got that over passing yards. They didn't run the ball. They ran the ball 8 times for minus 1 yard. Stafford was able to breach 270, right? But he didn't get to 292.5. I think he even got over 280. Hawkinson was 5 yards off of your cash there. Metcalf led the Seahawks in receiving. If you think that he's going to lead the Seahawks in receiving, you would think that he'd get over 77.5 receiving yards. He did not, but Russell Wilson did get over 20.5 rush yards. All right, let's move past it. Let's move past this. Harold Williams says, can the chat get a little love for going with the Cardinals plus 4.5 against the Rams? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. That was I think that I've got to get over this anger of missing a line move. You know, until the Chargers beat the Raiders, all these teams who'd had what I considered season-defining wins lost or didn't cover the next game. And I should have just taken it at 4.5. I was just angry because my friends had it at 6. And Dennis Garcia says, yes, Jimmy, Dallas just flat out better than Carolina. C-Mac wouldn't have made a difference. Slats45 says, ugliest game of the year, Falcons, Jets. What does the NFL have against London? There's Dennis Trusty in the house. Trusty gave out another winner in horses on betting with the bag this morning, and I didn't notice it. I was too caught up in whatever I was doing. And Trusty, if I don't repeat your horse action and copy and paste it, I've missed it because I would never just look past it. There's Nasty Nate ready to go. All right. And Brady says another stellar horseplay today. Thank you to Trusty. Okay, that's enough of that. It's time to get to work. Let's do exactly that. Bebsie, cheers, my friend. I know you're going to turn around. Get that glass close to your lips, man. Let's get to work. Thursday, October 7th, 8:20 p.m. Los Angeles Rams 3-1, 1-0 on the road at the Seattle Seahawks, 2-2, 0-1 at home. We're at Lumen Field in Seattle, Washington. Thank you guys all so much for joining us here on Pub Sports Radio. Let's start with the market move and then move right over to where the cash lies in this spot. Again, I've made no bets so far. The Rams open up as a pick'em. Now they're 2.5-point favorites right across the board. They certainly seem like the spot here with the injuries the Seahawks are dealing with. This total opened up at 53.5. It's now at 54.5. Let's go to the cash flow. We have 7,590 tickets in. On the spread, 81% of the tickets on the Rams, 89% of the cash on the Rams. All Rams, market moving in their direction. Then we have 63% of the tickets, 56% of the cash on the over. Dennis Garcia says, Seattle is a teaser leg. 1 week after a statement victory over defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay on the same field, the Rams did not look good in the ugly 37-20 loss at home versus Arizona. Stafford 26 of 41 for 290 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Jesus, 290 yards. And Bebsie had the over 292.5. It's just been that kind of season, Bebsie. I know that you're going to start rolling. I'm certain of it. Missing that by 2.5 yards is rough. 2020 second-round pick Van Jefferson, 6 catches for 90 yards, 1 touchdown. Cooper Kupp didn't look as dominant as he has been. 5 catches for 64 yards. Darrell Henderson returned from injury to run 14 times for 89 yards. Sony Michel did not look good. 3 carries, 11 yards, and lost a fumble. Rams allowed 465 total yards by the Cardinals. Last year's number 1 defense has now given up 911 yards, 61 points the last 2 weeks. Aaron Donald did not get a sack or a hit on the quarterback. The Rams managed just 3 sacks, had just 2 quarterback hits. This is a healthy group with no excuses. Seahawks come in off a 28-21 win at San Francisco. Seahawks went 3 and out on their first 5 drives of the game, but stayed the course, got the W. They were outgained 457 to 234, had just 14 first downs compared to the Niners' 23, but turnovers were used to their advantage. Russell Wilson, 16 of 23 for 149 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. DK Metcalf led receivers with 4 catches for 65 yards. Rashad Penny moved to the injured reserve before the game, so Alex Collins led the running backs with 10 carries for 44 yards and a touchdown, caught 2 passes for 34 yards. Chris Carson did not look good. Stymied on the ground, carried the ball for just 30 yards. Bobby Wagner, another strong game with 10 tackles. The Seahawks managed 2 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. Quandre Diggs had an interception. Linebacker Cody Barton left the game in the first half. His injury status is unclear, but the pass rush is expected to be an issue this week. Defensive end Carlos Dunlap sprained his toe, listed as questionable. Defensive end Darrell Taylor tweaked his ankle and is listed as questionable. Defensive end Benson Mayowa is also listed as questionable. Cornerback Trey Brown designated to return off the IR. Tight end Gerald Everett may be activated from the reserve COVID list before Thursday's game. He did return a negative test on Monday. DK Metcalf has not practiced this week due to a foot injury. He's expected to play. D. Eskridge listed as questionable. Offensive tackle Brandon Shell also listed as questionable. A lot of injuries for the Seahawks. I know that you shy away from Thursday night action. I got killed last Thursday night. Any look for you here, Bebsie? Take it away, Rams Seahawks.
Well, as per usual, I will not be playing Wednesday. Or Thursday. It's my form of protest against Thursday night football. Fucking hate it. But this to me is Rams or you're crazy. And I know I talked to Pavone earlier. He loves Seattle this week. I don't see it. I simply don't. They got outplayed by a Niners team and they still lost. Or they still won, rather. But, the Niners left a lot of points on the board special teams-wise. They had Robbie Gould go down in the warm-ups. So they had no kicker. They had their punter kicking. They had a missed field goal. They had a missed extra point. They had other opportunities where they wouldn't kick because they didn't have a kicker. And also they had their return man, Trenton Cannon, fumble the ball at his own 10-yard line, which, of course, is never good. So I don't – Seattle's win last week was a bit of an anomaly. The Rams losing, yeah, they didn't play well. The other thing, too, you mentioned Aaron Donald, no sacks. And, okay, you're facing, you're facing Kyler Murray, who's a tough guy to track down. But still, the NFL, there was a complaint that there were too many holding calls, and it was slowing down the game. So the NFL is like, well, we can't call as much holding. But now they're just letting egregious shit go, and it's ugly the other way. It's like, why can't they get it right? Why is it one extreme or the other? Why don't they just call less holding, but still call the brutal shit? I obviously don't like the Rams. I'm a Niners fan, but I feel bad for Aaron Donald. He is getting mugged out there. He's getting people just draped over him, and there's got to be a correction. There has to be some kind of correction where the NFL's like, okay, we're going to call some holding. We're just not calling it on every goddamn play. I think that's part of the reason why he's off to a slow start. And also, Jimmy, number 1 defense last year, but they lost a lot of depth pieces, which I talked about in the offseason. Everyone was so big on this Rams team. And I said, look, the defense has lost a lot of you can't have so much money in Ramsey and Donald and still have stars at every other position. So I think that has a lot to do with the way they're playing right now. But look, bad, ugly loss this week. They come back and smash Seattle on Thursday. I understand it's on the road. They're playing in Seattle, which is one of the toughest places to play in. I have not been impressed by Seattle at all this year.
I'm surprised that Pavone wants the Seahawks when he is a very good reader of the market. And there is not one tiny ounce of a signal that the Seahawks are the right player. The Sharks are on the Seahawks. The issue that I felt today when I went over the issues with the Seahawks pass rush was, do I want to take -2.5 when everybody else got to pick them around -1? That was my only issue. I think the Rams bounce back here, and it's shock and awe that he's this, bullish on the Seahawks. Let's talk a little more about the Seahawks 49ers game before I decide what to do. Were you impressed with the Seahawks staying the course, or was it the 49ers giving the game away?
I honestly, the 49ers gave the game away. Like, the first half, the 49ers should have gone into the locker room with a 21-point lead. They absolutely dominated it and then shot themselves in the foot, like they often do. And that's discipline, which, it does fall on the head coach. There's a lot of people on Niners Twitter that want Shanahan fired, which is ridiculous. But yeah, they've got to play more disciplined football. They shot themselves in the foot. And the Seahawks should not have gone into the half tied, within a couple scores, let alone tied. They went in at 7-7 into the half. And I mean, look at the numbers. The Niners absolutely dominated. 5 straight 3-and-outs to start the game. That Niners defense, they're fantastic. Even with their 4th string corner, I think that's who they had Drake Kirkpatrick playing, who came off the street. So, look, they've got a very good defense. Their offense needs to get their shit together. But yeah, the Niners left a lot of meat on the bone, and then the Seahawks just capitalized. And that's what a Russell Wilson-led team is going to do. You can't let him hang around.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He stays the course. He loves adversity. Gerald Jones says fade. Says love the Rams here. Dennis Garcia says, yeah, 49ers shot themselves in the foot. A couple looks from our Dutch boy, Fresh. First off, he's looking at Stafford over 305.5 passing yards. Says average right at this number on the season. Hawks defense allows 310 yards passing per game. I think it's a competitive game, a lot of points, and Stafford will show out. Viper NB, thank you for the kind words. Birdie says, I bet the Rams +1 and -1. That's it for me. I mean, we're below that number of 2.5, but Dutch Boy Fresh says that he likes the Rams off of a loss, but this line is disrespectful. Do you think this line is disrespectful to the Seattle Seahawks?
I wouldn't say it's disrespectful. I mean, this is a team that should be 1-3 right now. They're 2-2, and they're lucky to be 2-2. So I don't think it's disrespectful. It's a field goal on the road. And we're talking about a Super Bowl favorite right now versus a fringe playoff team.
JT says McVay 8-2 against the spread on the road after a loss. Average wins are by 10 points. So is your disgust for Thursday night football going to keep you off taking the Rams at this point?
Jimmy, I know when a lot of people are struggling, when they got a bad string of luck going, they tend to break some of their own rules. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to break my own rule. I am going to stay off Thursday night football in my unnoticed form of protest.
Do we disregard the home team or no team look because we expect the Rams to bounce back? Brady says, I'm taking Rams in the contest this week. Feels like the Rams -2.5 for the play. I can't see a reason at this point not to bet them. I can't see a reason. I expect them to bounce back here.
I understand the home team or no team in theory because more often than not, but that's ludicrous. That means it can, like, if you live your life that way, it means it'll never happen. Like, this team's beat this team 7 times in a row. Well, shit gets broken. Streaks get broken. Same thing here. There's one team is just simply better than the other. One is coming off a fluky win. One is coming off a loss where I get Arizona is the only 4-0 team, and I still do not believe in Arizona.
They did allow 465. I like the idea of them questioning themselves moving here on the road. Caveman Bet says all away teams have covered the spread on Thursday football this year. That's a great point, Caveman Bets. I don't see how I don't move on the Rams -2.5. Adam Galbraith says Rams is a public play. 80% of the money will be on them. It's much more than that right now. 81% of the tickets are on them, but 89% of the cash are on them. It's a very public play. I was on a very public play last Thursday, but there's a big difference between the two public plays. One, the Bengals were, fat and happy off that win in Pittsburgh, where these Rams are questioning everything that they've done. everything. And if Seattle was coming in healthy, it'd be different. But this pass rush is hurting. And for me to think that, okay, we talked about one of the issues with this team is how important Carlos Dunlap is to that front seven. And now he's coming in with a sprained toe. I just
Kerry Hyder's not 100% either.
Let's just do a quick weather check. I know how much it bothers Bebsie, and with 16 games on the schedule, it was hard to get to all the weather. But no, it's going to be a nice night.
The other thing too is, like, I understand fading the public. I get it, especially because we know all matches are fixed, and the sharps tend to know which way they're being fixed to. But the public was heavy on the Chargers last night, and the Chargers rolled. So you can't always fade the public. Sometimes the public's just right.
Yes, absolutely. All right, I don't see how I don't move on the Rams -2.5. I shouldn't let what happened to me last Thursday get in the way. I think I should just move on them. A nice night, a beautiful night Thursday in Seattle. Rams -2.5. Let's move on to Sunday action. We go Sunday, October 10th, and we head to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, England, for the New York Jets, sitting at 1-3. Robert Saleh getting his first win as a head coach in the NFL, going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Before I broke this game down, my immediate thought, and it always is this way, I can't fucking explain it, was how do I not bet the Falcons? It's the first thing that goes through my mind. God, it's just so horrifying. Whew. JT got the Rams -1 last night. Great job, JT. Dennis Garcia says, I got the Jets +3.5 and over 43.5. And Dutch Boy Fresh says, short week at home, division game, home dog. 12th man will be rocking. Tough to late here, but it would be Rams or nothing for that last game. Well put, Dutchy. Dennis is on the Jets +3.5 and over 43.5. So my first thought is, how do I not bet the Falcons? And look, that's my own issue. And then I go right to the cash flow. Give me any reason to back the Falcons, even though I promised Birdie that I wouldn't lose all my money this year on the Falcons, even though I lost it already in week 2. I go right to this, and here, right off the hop, the Falcons have 38% of the tickets, so some of the public does agree with me, and only 16% of the cash. And I will not make a bet in those circumstances all year anymore. Maybe I shouldn't say all year, but for the time being, I'm not going to ever make a bet in the circumstances where there's not more money than tickets on the side that I want to bet. From a total perspective, 52% of tickets are on the over and 40% of cash. These UK games are tricky. They're tricky. Noli knows. Thank you for joining us, my man. Big night for you guys. How you could be the favorite to win the pennant and you could lose, and you could be eliminated in one game tonight is just, it's absurd, Noli. And I hope you guys get through this game tonight for your sake. Let's go. This market in this game. Birdie says he's 2-0 betting Falcons games, just fading the Falcons. That makes sense to me. The Falcons open up as 3.5-point favorites. That's moved to 3. The total opened up at 44. It's now at 46. Dennis Garcia, very comforting move towards his over. Wilson goes 21-34 for 297 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Corey Davis caught 4 passes for 111 yards and 1 touchdown. Bebsie is beginning to look like the player we imagined him to be when he was drafted 4th overall. Keelan Cole caught 3 passes for 92 yards. Jamison Crowder caught 7 passes for 61 yards. Corey Davis, Keelan Cole, Jamison Crowder, those are weapons. Their running game struggled again. 25 rushes as a team, 66 yards. Michael Carter, is he an RB1? 13 carries for 38 yards, 1 touchdown. The defense looked dangerous. CJ Mosley, 13 tackles, 1 sack. Quincy Williams, 12 tackles, 1 sack. Quinnen Williams, 7 tackles, 2 sacks. Quinnen and Quincy Williams became the first brothers to get sacks in the same game as teammates since sacks became an official stat in 1982.
Adorable.
7 sacks and 14 quarterback hits. 7 sacks and 14 quarterback hits. Cornerback Brandon Eccles left in the first quarter with a concussion, didn't return. Both he and safety Gerald Wilson are in concussion protocol. Marcus May will be out of the lineup indefinitely due to boozebaggery. 3 charges stemming from a DUI arrest. Wide receiver Jeff Smith and Elijah Moore missed the Titans game and remain questionable. And LaMichael P. Ryan also missed the game and is listed as questionable. Falcons come in off a 34-30 loss at home versus the Washington Football Club, and Bebsie's on edge, man. Matt Ryan looked good. 25-42, 283 yards, 4 touchdowns. Cordero Patterson was all over the field. 5 catches for 82 yards, 3 touchdowns, 6 carries for 34 yards, returned 3 kickoffs for 78 yards. First Atlanta player since 2018 to score 3 touchdowns in the game. Calvin Ridley, 7 catches for 80 yards. Mike Davis. You know, it's funny. Babano said to me when I thought that Mike Davis was an upgrade. I mean, if you watched Atlanta try to run the ball last year, it's easy to say that Mike Davis was an upgrade, I thought, but he said that Mike Davis is not an RB1. He ran 13 times for 14 yards, caught 2 passes for 12 yards. Does not look good. But the Falcon offense converted 10 of 16 first downs. And Yale graduate Foye Aluokin was all over the field, 12 tackles, 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits. The only Falcon to get a sack and had 2 of the 4 quarterback hits on Heineke. Quarterback Isaiah Oliver carted off the field in the first half with a knee injury. He's been placed on IR. Their punter, Cameron Nizialek, injured his right hamstring while kicking off. This is questionable. Safety Eric Harris sustained a calf injury during the game. Russell Gage and defensive tackle Marlon Davidson missed the Washington game and are listed as questionable to go this week. Here we go, Bebsie. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, England. Jets Falcons, take it away.
Well, first and foremost, if you bet the side on either one of these teams, you're gambling. That's just it. You're not betting. This is just a straight gamble. This is you just being like, yeah, I got something. There's nothing you can really truly lean on with either one of these teams. I don't know how you can lay money with the Jets. I don't know how you can lay money with the Falcons. What you can lay money on, and which will be my first play this week, is indeed the over. Why? Neither of these teams can run the football. Both of these teams can seemingly move the ball through the air. I think the Falcons, as it's been written on our screen here, they probably can move it a little better with Matty Ryan back there. But look, these are 2 teams that don't have a great defense, that have a terrible run game. I expect a lot of passing, a lot of scores, and I love the over in this. I think this is even though they're going to be playing in England, and a lot of teams don't bring their best game in England, I think this ends up being a shootout. And that's what the NFL wants. The NFL wants the British fans to see a high-scoring game. Make this game big in Britain. This is a no-brainer over for me.
Makes a lot of sense. Heritage has already moved it to 46.5. Let's go back to where the cash lies in this spot. 52% of tickets on the over, 40% of cash on the over. So that goes against the rule that I'm trying to implement. So and then you know the public's going to come in on the over. Well, let's line shop for Bebsie right now. Let's give him the least amount of vig we can find the man. At 46, the over is at minus 105 at Pinnacle. So let's get Bebsie started here. Bebsie over 46 at minus 105, available at Pinnacle to get his day started. Very, very, very interesting. Turnsy said, Jose said he's drinking on his live MLB show. Get him drunk, fellas. You know, I'd be interested. I'm always interested to see him end up in a ditch. JT says, I like your overlook. Down 1.5 points from open, 47.5 to 45.5. So that's another thing, though, is that we are using opening lines at Pinnacle. So we're not using Bet Online opening lines. Bet Online they opened it at 44, and then the immediate action was under. Now this was on Tuesday of last week. Then it's 43.5 on Sunday night, and it starts going up. So And I ask cappers all the time, should I use the Bet Online opening line? And they say no. Use Pinnacle's opening line. The Bet Online openers are like, basically a restricted bet. You can't bet too much on it. And so I'm going to stick. But I hear what you're saying, JT. It's important to know both. It's important to know both. All right. Here we go. Let's get a just quick look into Jose Bouquet. Look, he's full of food. He's eating food. Get him jump on the screen very quick. With less than 30 seconds.
2-0. 2-0 on their ass, Jimmy. 2-0 on their ass. Rally cups, Jimmy. We're in there like swimwear.
All right, there's Jose Bouquet here with a very confident eating peanut butter cups. This is how the younger generation party. And I'm on the first 5 over. So the last couple bets Jose's made. We'll get into it on my show, but they concern me because he's so excited, even though he's losing his action on the show. That's what Noli knows is, didn't he lose his bet? Yeah, look, okay, whatever. I'm on my way, though. First 5 over 4. Feeling very good about things. All right, let's move on. Bebsie on the over 46 at -105 at Pinnacle. And although the capping makes sense, I feel like I should try to stick to this plan of not making a bet in football when the cash is higher than the tickets against my look. That's what's happening right now. Dennis Garcia said there was 43.5 Sunday night at Bet Online, and 365 had 43.5 yesterday. Wow. Okay, well, I'm going to try. Look, my palms are just leaking as soon as I say I'm not going to do something. We move on. That is the spot in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, England. Bebsie starting his card with the over 46 at -105. Okay, we move on to our next spot on this card, and it is the Green Bay Packers at Cincinnati Bengals. I find this game extremely interesting. Birdie says cash on the over, and the line is climbing, acting accordingly. No? You're right. You're absolutely right. There is in that morning game, there is no. Sorry, you're wrong. Exactly. Why was sorry, Birdie? It's 48% of the tickets are on the under, and 60% of cash is on the under. And that's why I'm not at this point. Hopefully, can stay disciplined and not move on it. Benjamin says, "Is this science, Jimmy?" Okay, Benjamin, let's go. Green Bay Packers 3-1, 1-1 on the road at Cincinnati Bengals 3-1, 2-0 home. We're at Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. Packers come in off their third straight win, a comfortable 27-17 victory at Lambeau over the Steelers. Let's take a look at the market move in this spot. We have this total opening up at 49.5. It's moved to 50.5. 49.5 to 50.5. And then we have Green Bay opening as 3-point favorites. And there's been a 12-cent move to the Cincinnati Bengals. Green Bay opening at -3 at -117 at Pinnacle. They're now -3 at -105. Very interesting. Now let's move over to the cash in this spot and see if it all correlates. We have 7,641 tickets in, and it correlates exactly. Only 18% of the tickets are on the Bengals, and 51% of the cash. So clearly, there are big bets being made on the Cincinnati Bengals. Then we have 48% of tickets on the under and 83% of cash on the under, and we see a point move to the over. Dennis Garcia says, I took the Bengals plus 3.5 -115 in the over. I don't trust Green Bay. Monday Night Football, San Francisco on Sunday Night Football, the Steelers, Cincinnati too young and unknown for them to care. Interesting. Dennis says Cincinnati's had extra time to prepare. Rodgers comes to their building. I expect them to show up. Birdie says the Bengals got hammered at 3.5. Aaron Rodgers was 20 for 36 for 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Randall Cobb was the guy, caught 5 passes for 69 yards, 2 touchdowns. For the first 3 games of the year, Cobb had 4 catches for 58 yards. He caught 5 passes for 69 yards. Impressive. Devontae Adams, 6 catches for 64 yards. Anything to get pressure off of Devontae Adams will help this team. A.J. Dillon. Boston College's own A.J. Dillon, 15 carries for 81 yards. Aaron Jones had 15 carries for 48 yards. Packers defense got 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hits on Big Ben. Eric Stokes, 8 tackles, 2 passes deflected, and 1 interception. Jair Alexander left in the third quarter with a shoulder injury. They say that he may be able to avoid a long-term absence if he is able to take the field while wearing a brace. Not a good sign for Alexander. Linebacker Preston Smith dealing with a shoulder injury, questionable this week. The Packers have been handling injury problems very well. On Sunday, this past week, they didn't have linebacker Chris Barnes, offensive lineman Algden Jenkins, cornerback Kevin King, and receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They've been missing all-pro left tackle David Bakhtiari all season, and they haven't had outside linebackers Darius Smith since the opening week. Does that make them vulnerable? Bengals are on extra rest and preparations after coming back from a down 14-0 at the half to win 24-21 at home over the Jaguars on Thursday night. Evan McPherson won it on a 35-yard field goal. It was a 10-play, 73-yard drive. It took 5.5 minutes. It was impressive. Burrow, 25 of 32 for 348 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Tyler Boyd caught 9 passes for 118 yards. The T. Higgins was not there, but it didn't seem to hurt them. CJ Uzoma caught 5 passes for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. Shamar Chase, 6 catches for 77 yards. Joe Mixon is nursing a low-grade ankle sprain. So he ran 16 times for 67 yards and a touchdown before getting hurt, and he is considered week to week. From that and from my study today, I do not expect Joe Mixon to be in the lineup, but he could be. Logan Wilson was excellent once again. What a monster this guy is. 10 tackles, 1 sack. Stopped Trevor Lawrence on that 4th goal at the 1 with under a minute left in the half. That basically cost me the over. Guard Xavier Suafilo, wide receiver T. Higgins, cornerback Chidobe Awuzie, and safety Jesse Bates all missed the game. Now let's this questionable go this week. What a fascinating football game, Bebsie. Take it away, Packers-Bengals.
Well, Jimmy, I have a lean here. I don't think I'm going to play it, and I lean Bengals for this reason. 1, they're at home. 2, they've been playing great football, and they've been surging. The injury to Mixon is certainly a concern. I don't see him playing, but I believe in Joe Burrow right now. It's not to say I don't believe in Aaron Rodgers. You'd be crazy not to. I love everybody who's like, Aaron Rodgers is done after week 1. That was ludicrous. Clearly an anomaly. They didn't start the season on time. But that laundry list of injuries that you just read through, it's one thing to lose a couple of guys. It's another to lose a bunch more. And they've been getting through it. But sooner or later, this catches up with them. And I'm worried that this catches up with Green Bay this week. There is a lot of talent out for them. The Jair Alexander, I don't – if I'm Green Bay and I'm a playoff hopeful team, of course, you've been to the NFC Championship 2 years in a row. You can't play Jair Alexander while he's laboring, while he's like protecting that shoulder. I get it. The corners aren't the most physical position on the field, but those guys got to make open field tackles. If you lose Jair Alexander for an extended period of time, you're in a lot of trouble. So they gotta rest him. I would be upset if I was a fan of the Green Bay Packers and they rolled Jair Alexander onto the field this week. So this is tough. This is a tough call because both of these teams are playing good football right now. I just think the injuries for Green Bay are far worse than what the Bengals are dealing with. And the Bengals are at home and they're playing good football right now. It's my lean. It's hard to bet against Aaron Rodgers right now, but the Bengals are playing good football. And frankly, they're healthier.
Yeah. And it certainly looks like this will – maybe I shouldn't say it'll turn into a 2.5 because, I mean, you could see that it go to 2.5 and you just take some huge bets on the Packers. The books might be fearful of the 2.5. R says maybe a shootout. Top set says Bengals and under. Bertie says this game reminds me of the Houston spot last year. I felt the -4 was a trap and bet Houston, and I lost. I'm staying off this game. I can't trust this Bengals head coach, especially in uncharted waters. He says you need to be an even stronger leader to win. I just don't think this is Bengals coach is capable, especially off that comeback last week. Jags are not. That was an emotional win. Dennis Garcia said my number came back Packers -2.5. This total, Bebsie, before we move on here, opening up at 49.5, now at 50.5. Mixon may or may not be in the lineup. T. Higgins, it looks like he wants to be back in the lineup. I'm not sure if he's going to be back in the lineup, but with this move towards the over, do you agree with this market move towards the over?
I don't think so. I think I'd probably, again, if you force me to play it, I'd probably run the under on this one.
Bengals +3 at home against the Packers. I know this is different than playing the Steelers, but it does feel like a coming-of-age win possibly for the Bengals with all the injuries that the Packers are facing. JT says they said Higgins would have played last week if it wasn't a short week. I think the Bengals are the spot. Razor says not sure how this game stays under the total. It's going to be TD after TD after TD. Shout out to Birdie for cashing the Bengals +230 at halftime, down 14-0. Bengals +3.5. I'm not going to sit here and hum and haw. I'll do that all night because I have a very difficult time sleeping after these Tuesday night shows, staring at what action to deliver. And I'm not happy with my performance over the last 2 weeks. Dutch Boy Fresh, team total over 24 for the Bengals. Team total over 24. I'm going to copy and paste that just above the breakdown so that I can remember what Dutch is on as I stare at this game deciding what to bet. All right, we move on. Next stop for us, 1 p.m. Eastern, Detroit Lions at Minnesota Vikings. We're at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The Lions 0-4, 0-2 on the road. Vikings 1-3, 1-1 at home. Let's see what we're dealing with. Minnesota opening up as 8-point favorites. That drops to 7.5. Heritage has moved it to 7. They're the first book to move it to 7. This total opened up at 49. It's still there. But UWager, Bodog, and Bet365 have moved it to 49.5. Then we move over to the cash flow in this spot. 4,791 tickets. The line predictor says that there's 84% confidence that the Detroit Lions will go to +7 at +100 or +7.5 at -120. We have 52% of the tickets on the Detroit Lions on the spread and 56% of the cash. Then we have 43% of the tickets and 99% of the cash. Now, with 4,791 tickets in, that just means that one very big bet has come in on the Detroit, Minnesota under. Trusty says no way in hell the Vikes should be 7.5-point favorites. Crumb in the house says I like the under with 2 decent defenses. Harold Williams says easy Vikings. Lions never beat the Vikings. Lions coming off a 24-14 loss at Chicago on Sunday. It was hilarious. Laugh out loud. I laughed many, many times in the first half of the game, and like genuine gut laughter, sitting back very pleased with myself on the Bears. Dan Campbell and Brad. Well, Dan Campbell as now winless, 0-4. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, the combination, 0-4. Lions have lost 8 straight games. Jared Goff, 24-38 for 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, fumbled the ball 3 times, losing 2 of them. Quintus Cephas led receivers with 4 catches for 83 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown caught 6 passes for 70 yards. Khalif Raymond caught 3 for 64. Jamal Williams ran 14 times for 66 yards. DeAndre Swift struggled. He ran 8 times for 16 yards, but did catch 4 passes for 33 yards. The Lions couldn't put pressure on Justin Fields in his first ever home start. That was integral if you were back in the Lions. 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits. Linebacker Romeo Okwara will miss the remainder of the season after a torn Achilles. Frank Ragnow suffered a turf toe, going to be out for some time, was the word from Campbell. Offensive tackle Taylor Decker has a finger injury, unclear at this point. He's listed as questionable. Trey Flowers is questionable as well. Missed last week. Vikings come in off a 14-7 loss at home to the Browns. Cousins 20 of 38 for 203 yards, 1 touchdown. First interception of the season. Justin Jefferson led the receivers with 6 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown. The TD came on the opening drive, and then the Vikings had 11 more possessions without scoring or even trying a field goal. Now, they were in field goal range on that last drive, but they needed 7 to tie. Thielen just 3 catches for 46 yards. KJ Osborne 3 catches for 26 yards. Both receivers will be raring to come back, but Dalvin Cook did not look good returning from his ankle injury. 9 carries for 34 yards. Madison did no better, ran 10 times for 20 yards. Eric Kendricks, Xavier Woods looked excellent. 10 tackles each. 3 sacks. Those were their only quarterback hits. Brashard Breeland left with an illness. He's expected to be good to go this week. Defensive tackle Michael Pierce, an elbow injury. He's listed as questionable. Cameron Danzler is now being moved to the reserve COVID-19 list. And that's a big blow. At this point, I couldn't decipher whether or not he's in close proximity and has a negative test, because there's guys who are being moved to the COVID-19 list that I've researched that are negative and should pop off immediately. I couldn't get that information on Dantzler. BC Johnson, the wide receiver, also on injured reserve. And Coach Zimmer is hoping that Anthony Barr will make his season debut this week. That'll be a huge deal if he does. We know what he's capable of. And cornerback Chris Boyd didn't play last week, remains questionable to go this week. Big shout out to Crumb. Thank you for your support with the $10 dono. We're very proud to work for Pub Sports Radio. And one of the things we're proud of is we'll never ask you for anything. And we'll never sell you anything. We just want to win together and succeed together and beat the books. So thank you for your dono. Here we go, Bebsie. Take it away, Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings.
Jimmy, just before I dive into this breakdown, I think the problem with the show is we're not getting drunk on Sundays watching football together when we fucking well should. Anyways, I'm putting that out there. Anyhow, back to this game. It's got to be Vikings or no play. The Vikings are sitting at 1-3. They're a much better team than 1-3. The Lions are sitting at 0-4. They're an 0-4 team. They've showed some heart at times, but look, the injuries are piling up, especially on that defense. Minnesota's a much healthier team. They're getting Barr back. The Dantzler thing, I think there's more to it. I feel like they're trying to move him. He's not happy there. So that I won't speak too much about because that's all hearsay and yada yada. But I don't know. It has to be Minnesota or nothing here. Again, you'd like to get the 7, but it's got to be Vikings rolling this one. I just don't see Goff leading a high-powered attack to match what the Vikings are going to do to this massacred Detroit defense. So it's Vikings or no play here for me.
I agree. It just seems like a lot of points. It seems like we're going to have a very angry Minnesota Vikings squad on our hands, but it still feels like a lot of points. Rowdy says Goff was awful last week. Lions can't win. We'll talk about it in the Bears game, but the Bears offense did not look good, and it's not going to look good this week. You lose Montgomery. I mean, we'll go over all the issues that they're dealing with right now in Bear Country. We saw what happens to the Bears when they're on the road in a tough place to play against a very good football team. They did, like one of the worst performances offensively we've seen in 10 years. Then they go home against the Lions and look good. Justin Fields looked good. Makes me think that this is a smash and grab for the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, and I understand why it looks like too much points, because you look at that 1-3 record and you think, why does a 1-3 team have a 7.5 point favor over this 0-4 team? But look, they were a missed chip kick field goal away from beating Arizona, the only undefeated team in football. They hung tough with a very good Browns. I love the Browns right now. I'm all over the Browns right now. They're playing great football. I believe in them. Myles Garrett he tweeted out that he didn't wear sleeves for the first time this year, and he's got a random piss test in the morning. That man is enormous. I love the Browns right now, but you got to take the Browns over Minnesota. That was one of the only places I was absolutely right this week. But, man, Minnesota isn't a 1-3 football team. They are better than that. Yeah, they've got a jackass of a head coach, but he's not near as bad as some of the other guys. Nagy, Urban Meyer come to mind. But that's why the spread is where it's at, because this team is much better than their record suggests. And I think it's a get-right spot for Minnesota right now.
Caveman says Dalvin Cook props here. Look what running backs have been doing to the Lions all season. I can't try. Who knows? Maybe it's Madison. We can't trust the balky ankle right now with Dalvin Cook. At least I can't. I'm not comfortable putting money on anything there. What do you think about this before we move on? We'll move on after this. Dennis Garcia says Detroit was better last week. They had 4 turnovers inside the Chicago 20. The fumble, and I guess it did touch Goff, but to me it looked like the center for the Lions just fumbled it over his own back into the arms of the Bears, and that really had me enjoying life. And I did have a friend, a good friend, who you know, Bebsie, Sonny Dollywall, who sent me money to make a bet for him on a parlay for the Lions, and Lions were included. It was a Lions Raiders parlay, and I said sure. I sent it in, and did none of that. Just sat back and took the $100 and smiled to myself. And it was that hike to himself that made me laugh hysterically. And please don't let Sonny know that. In saying all this, do you think that the Lions were much better than the score showed? Because there's a lot of truth to that.
I agree that the Lions were better than the score showed, but also bad teams find ways to lose games. And I do think this is not a very good team. So you wouldn't want to drink with Nagy, but would you with Urban? Urban looks like he's having a good time. Not now, but he did start out looking like he was having a pretty good time. So I don't know. If I had to choose, I'd drink with Urban over Nagy, but actually I don't know.
Urban's not leaving the house for the next 2 years.
No, Urban's on house arrest for a little bit. I'm putting a question mark beside this because I do want to move on the Vikings. I don't love the number, but it's got to be mini or no play.
Well, at this point, I'm going to try to stick with this fast rule. And at this point, I won't do it. We have 52% of the tickets on the Lions, 56% of the cash on the Lions. So more cash than tickets on them. And that score flattered the Bears. So at this point tonight, I will not move on the Vikings. Let's move on from Lions, Vikings. But quickly, that total at 49, we didn't really touch on it.
I don't know. I guess I would probably lean to the under because I can see the Vikings getting up and just controlling this game with the ground. But I don't know. I wouldn't have a confident bet one way or the other.
Well, let's move on. And Jose, I still need 2 runs in that first 5, and I'm trying not to pay too much attention to it. I would be happy if your Red Sox win, but I still need to at least push this first 5 over. Okay, Nutflashan says Vikes team total over is the only look, and he says don't trust the Lions to score. And Birdie says, Slatsy, I like Mini to win all 4 quarters in this one. Thoughts? Let's move on to 1 p.m. Eastern, another very fascinating game. Denver Broncos 3-1, 2-0 on the road at the Pittsburgh Steelers 1-3, 0-2 at home. We're at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Let's see what we are dealing with. Steelers open up at -1. There's been a 2-cent move to the Broncos. This total opened up at 40. It's still at 40 at Pinnacle and Sports Interaction. But every other of the main books that I focus on have moved to 39.5. Move over to the cash flow in this spot. We have, where are you? We have 3,618 tickets in, 71% of the tickets, and 76% of the cash is on the Steelers. And that's come down a little bit. Because I took a look at that because I immediately thought, well, I guess there's quarterback problems, but I was very curious to see the ticket breakdown. Then we have 57% of tickets on the over and 99% of cash. Now, of course, this will be at 60,000 tickets on our Sunday show, and we're just dealing with 3,000 right now. But a big bet is coming on the over in this spot. All right, Broncos coming off a 23-7 loss at home to the Ravens. That game was tough to watch. And yeah, Bridgewater left with a concussion. But the issue was that the tickets were heavy on the Ravens, but the cash was even higher. And I don't want to move on those spots anymore. And I've been saying that out loud so that I'll stick to it. Broncos punted on 10 of their 12 possessions. They had punted 9 times in total in their 3 wins against very weak opposition. Teddy Bridgewater, questionable concussion protocol. Up to that point, he was 7 for 16 for 65 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Drew Lock came in, was 12 for 21 for 113 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Cortland Sutton caught 3 passes for 47 yards. Noah Fant, 6 catches for 46 yards, touchdown. Melvin Gordon ran 9 times for 56 yards, but it was Javonte Williams that caught people's attention. 1 spectacular run, breaking tackles, 7 carries for 48 yards. Kareem Jackson, 11 tackles. Justin Simmons had 8 tackles and 2 passes deflected. It was impressive. Caden Stern had 2 sacks. Broncos had 3 sacks, 8 quarterback hits on Lamar. There were some questionable hits in that game that could have gone against the Ravens. And then the Ravens, decided to break that rushing record in Fangio's lumpy throat.
I get both sides of that, if I'm being completely honest.
So do I. Yeah, I get it. I have no problem with them going for the record there. I just wish they didn't have the opportunity because there was 3 seconds. They very could have not had the opportunity. And Fangio, a defensive coach, he cared about not giving them that record. And he coached the game poorly because of that, focusing so much on not letting Lamar leave the pocket. So then, you have your eyes on Lamar at all times. Then he throws for, 316 yards, whatever it was. Deontay Spencer left the game with an injury to his sternum, took a huge hit from Tavon Young. Guards Dalton Risner and Graham Glasnow remain questionable after missing last week's game, as do linebackers Andrew Mintz and Baron Browning. Steelers coming off a 27-17 loss at Green Bay. It seemed like a simple bet. You took it, and it worked. And I guess I was scared by the market as it went to 6.5, 10-6, even with Claypool out. Since opening the 2020 season with 11 straight wins, Steelers have now lost 8 of 10. They've lost 3 straight and haven't scored more than 17 points in either of those 3 games. This is looking like a bad football team. They got off to a 7-0 lead in the first quarter. That ended in an 11-game stretch in which Pittsburgh's offense didn't score any first quarter points. They then watched the Packers score 27 of the next 30 points. Big Ben, 26 of 40 for 232 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Deontay Johnson, 9 catches for 92 yards, 1 touchdown. James Washington caught 4 passes for 69 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster, nowhere to be found again. 2 passes for 11 yards, despite being targeted 8 times. Najee Harris ran 15 times for 62 yards, 1 touchdown, caught 6 passes for 29 yards. TJ Watt had 2 of the Steelers' 3 sacks. Minkah Fitzpatrick had 8 tackles, also blocked Mason Cobb's 31-yard field goal attempt, recovered the ball, took it 75 yards to the house, but Hayden was offside. Cornerback Cam Sutton groin outside guard Kevin Dotson has a leg injury. They both left the game. Both listed as questionable this week. Claypool missed the game. He's supposed to practice this week and is expected to play. Big Ben is now dealing with a hip injury that he says is really affecting his movement. Offensive tackles Chukwuma Okorofor and Rashad Coward are both listed as questionable. Defensive tackle Carlos Davis is listed as well. I don't. I want to not care, Bebsie, who's going to play at quarterback for the Broncos because I just want to fade the Steelers so badly. But seeing the money come in on the Steelers has given me pause. Take it away, Broncos Steelers.
I think you're crazy to even want to lay a bet with either team right now until you know who's starting. Because if Big Ben starts and Drew Lock starts, you got to take the Steelers. If Teddy Bridgewater starts and any of the Steelers quarterbacks start, you got to take the Broncos. I don't know. You say the Steelers are a bad football team. I don't think they're a bad football team. I think they got a leaky O-line and a quarterback who is way past his prime to the point where Ben shouldn't be playing anymore. I thought, given the way he played down the stretch last year, he would have been – I mean, I know he's a big dummy, but how do you not look yourself in the eye and say, I can't throw anymore? I don't think he even has a hip injury. If he does, that's great. That's good for the Steelers. He should get out of the way. He's so bad right now that I believe Dwayne Haskins is an upgrade. And I'm skipping right over Mason Rudolph, and I'm going third string here. I have to find out if Teddy's playing because I think Drew Lock is terrible. And I just don't think – I don't think the team believes in Drew Lock. I think the team gets behind Teddy. Unfortunate injury last week. If Teddy's ready to go – the problem is, if Teddy's ready to go, that line swings. And so I don't know. It's a no play for me. I don't think – I think it's silly to even want to put money on this game with the uncertainty of quarterback.
Yeah, that makes sense. Birdie says, if this line moves to 2.5 or 3 to Denver, if Roth is ruled out, Big Ben, I will be looking hard at the Steelers here. I'm higher on Haskins than most. Interesting. Dennis Garcia says, if Locke plays and Ben is injured but plays, you bet Denver. The market will react to Teddy Covers not starting, but they will not react to Ben's injury. So you get to fade an injured quarterback at a better number. That's well put. Because that correlates.
I want to echo what Birdie says here, too. I'm also higher on Haskins than most. I think in the right situation, Dwayne Haskins can be a very good football player.
Burgundy Bet says the under is so low, but it's got to be the play. And then Mr. Ghost says, how about this? Bet this under. Josh Gillum says, I saw Ben throw a check down in less than 1 second on 4th down, and the defense was sending 3 rushers. He's done. Crystal Warren says, like you said earlier, you bet this game now, you're gambling, not capping. All right. Sorry, I just got a home run while Jose is going to Jose's not on the screen. I don't know what he's doing. I hate both the Red Sox and the Yankees pretty even. I hate them both, but I
hate the Red Sox slightly less.
Same here. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. More than slightly, maybe.
Yeah. I really just hate the Yankees.
Well, I want to catch this first 5 over 4. That's what I want to do. Okay, Fat Wally in the house. That is Broncos, Steelers, and I think Dennis Garcia nailed it for me. And I'm going to copy and paste his comment here so that I will stare at it all week. And I'll put it right under the headline for this game. Once again, Dennis Garcia says, if Locke plays and Ben is injured but plays, you bet Denver. The market will react to Teddy Covers not starting, but they will not react to Ben's injury. So you get to fade an injured quarterback at a better number. And that is how I'm going to handle this.
That's some sharp shit coming from the man, Dennis Garcia.
We move on 1 p.m. Eastern, Miami Dolphins 1-3, 1-1 on the road at Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3-1, 2-0 at home. Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. Let's take a look at the market here. First and foremost in this spot, we have the Buccaneers opening up as 10.5-point favorites, and there's been a big move towards the Dolphins without a number switch. So there's been a 19-cent move at Pinnacle. Tampa Bay opened at minus 107 at 10.5. They're now plus 112. And Heritage has moved it to 10. U-Wagers moved it to 10. Bodogs moved it to 10. So I apologize. Even Bet365 moved to 10. Sorry, for some reason I thought it was all 10.5 across the board. I'm wrong there. This total opened up at 47.5. All the other books have moved it to 48 except for U-Wager and Pinnacle. Okay. Now let's take a look at the cash in this very interesting Dolphins spot. 5,724 tickets in. 65% of the tickets, 71% of the cash on the Bucks. 43% of tickets, 91% of cash on the under. Let's move it up a half point. Dolphins coming off a disappointing 27-17 loss at home to the Colts. Miami was outgained 349 yards to 203. They were outgained 139 to 35 on the ground and 123 of Brissett's passing yards. So Brissett was 20 of 30 for 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Also fumbled twice, losing one. 123 of Brissett's 199 passing yards came in the fourth quarter when the game was over. Miami was terrible. They were outgained 226 to 15 in the second and third quarter. 30 minutes of game time. 30 minutes of game time between first downs. Ooh, they were fucking terrible. It was the third consecutive game in which the Dolphins have allowed 20 straight points to their opposition. Devontae Parker led the way with 4 receptions for 77 yards, 1 touchdown. Mike Gesicki, 5 catches for 57 yards. The Dolphins can't run the ball. They used Malcolm Brown as RB1. He ran 8 times for 23 yards. As a team, they ran 16 times for 35 yards. They got 2 sacks on Wentz. They did get 8 quarterback hits on them. Their defense is still pretty good. Will Fuller, they lost him in the first half with a hand injury. He's already been ruled out for this week, so there's no Fuller. Cornerback Byron Jones is listed as day-to-day. They hope to have defensive tackle Raekwon Davis activated off the IR. Tues began throwing. Buccaneers come in off a 19-17 win at the Patriots and Tom Brady's first trip back to Foxborough. Brady was 22 of 43 for 269 yards. No TDs, no picks. He broke Drew Brees' NFL career passing yardage record, became the 4th quarterback with victories against all 32 NFL teams, joining Brees, Favre, and Manning. Mike Evans caught 7 passes for 75 yards. Brown caught 7 catches for 63 yards. Godwin 3 for 55. Fournette starting to look like that 4th overall pick again. 20 carries for 91 yards, 3 catches for 47 yards. Richard Sherman in his Buccaneer debut made 7 tackles, recovered a fumble. Bucks were all over Mac Jones. Sacked him 4 times, hit him 12 times. Brady was protected as usual. He sacked once and hit 3 times, and we just don't see his jersey dirty ever. Carlton Davis III was helped off the field in the second quarter with a quad injury. He's listed as questionable. Winfield is left in the fourth quarter to be evaluated for concussion, but Arian said that he does not. Arian said that he's not expect him to make it through concussion protocols. Sean Murphy Bunting's been moved to the IR, but he is making progress. JPP, Gronkowski, Jamal Dean, and Bernard all missed the game and are listed as questionable this week. Here we go, Bebsie. Is this a buy low spot on the Dolphins? There was one note here that I wanted to read, and I'll take a look at this, but Dennis Garcia says, I hate that I probably have to take Miami. Terrible spot for Tampa coming off the Rams and the Brady homecoming. Brady says 2 emotional games in a row for the Bucks. Take it away, Bebsie. Dolphins, Buccaneers.
Well, I do want to touch on what Birdie said. I don't know if Sherman made a lot of tackles, but if you're making a lot of tackles as a corner, it means they're making completions on your side of the ball. So I don't know if I fully agree with that. I wasn't overly impressed with Sherman this week, but I am happy to see him back out on the field. Football is more fun with Richard Sherman on the field. But I think it is a buy low spot for Miami, but also not just a buy low spot in I agree, Dennis Garcia. He was not good. But look, Tom Brady facing former defensive coaches has struggled. He struggled. They didn't put up many points in, was it Sunday or Sunday night's game. He struggled against Flores the last time he played him. He even struggled against Matt Patricia, which is saying something because Matt Patricia was not a good coach. But these former D coordinators or former defensive coaches know how to at least get Brady off his game a little bit. Yeah, he didn't get sacked, but he certainly wasn't overly impressive. Now, he did miss Gronk big time. Gronk is a safety blanket. He's been playing good football. I hope to see Gronk back on the field too, because how do you not love watching that guy play? But I agree. I think this is too many points. I don't think Miami wins this game, but I take Miami in the points here.
It does make sense here. It's just an emotional couple games for Brady and the Bucks. The 10.5s are gone, but you can get 10. That's an important point. And what do you think of this total that's moving to 48, Bebsie?
I expect a low-scoring affair, so it would be under or nothing for me. Again, with what I just said about Tom Brady facing his former defensive coaches has not been successful.
The under is screaming at me right now. At this point, if I was to stick to this rule, which I probably shouldn't make a steadfast rule, but 65% of the tickets are on the Bucks, 71% of the cash, which does go against my addition, but I still kind of like it. And then 43% of tickets are on the under, 91% of cash is on the under. It's screaming under to me. Dolphins can play strong defense. I'm going to take a good look at this under, first of all. I would like to back the Dolphins plus 10. Nice. Short travel. The issue is this Dolphins rush group. You know, we saw them get rid of Kenyon Drake last year, and
they really. I thought they were going to ride Salvin Ahmed, and then he got hurt, and then he didn't really do anything. But he had a couple of games there where people were like, "This guy's incredible," and then he started playing like an undrafted free agent would play, which is okay.
Yes. Well, it's going to take a little bit more time for me, but at this point, it feels like both the under and the Dolphins plus 10 are in play here. The Dolphins defense is still strong. Do you still trust this Dolphins defense, Bebsie?
Again, I'm going to reiterate what I said. Former defensive coach. They've all had success against Tom Brady. Not stopping him entirely, but at least slowing him down and making him look pedestrian. So I do believe this Miami defense can still put up a game. Look, I said this a bunch in previous weeks, in previous years. Your defense, when your offense can't do anything, they start to get dejected. They start to wear down. So it does matter that their offense cannot do anything. But I still believe in this Miami defense. There's too much talent on it not to right the ship. But that offense has got to give them a little bit of a breather here and there.
And they're pretty easy to stop offensively. Brady says they never used Gaskin at all last week. I don't understand what is happening with Dolphins over him. They have two offensive coordinators, and Charlie Fry still calling plays. What is going on? All right, we are going to move on. I think I'm going to move on this spot in Dolphins Buccaneers. Before we move on to New Orleans Saints, Washington football field team, in FedEx Field, Landover, Maryland. Let's get a quick update on the wild card game from our Jose Bouquet. Jose, what's the story?
Jimmy, what did I tell you was going to happen, Jimmy? What did I tell you was going to happen? Garrett Cole is paid $325 million American dollars. American, not Canadian, not Venezuelan, American dollars. And the biggest start of his entire life, Jimmy. Would you believe that he doesn't go 3 innings, Jimmy? He can't record it out in the 3rd inning. What a fucking loser. What a bum. What an absolute disgrace to the pinstripes, Jimmy. Mickey Mantle wore that jersey, Jimmy, and they're going to let Garrett Cole put on the pinstripes? What a joke. What an absolute joke. They get a double play to get out of an inning. It's 3-0 Red Sox. Everything's going our way. We're having Reese's Cups. We're having a good time, Jimmy.
There he is. I believe the Venezuelans only use Bitcoin, as far as I know. No dollars there. There we go. So it is 3-0 right now, and Cole is out of the lineup. But I had 2 men on with none out, and I need 2 runs to cash, 1 to push, and I don't want to push. Okay, we move on. Bebsie, New Orleans Saints at Washington Football Team, FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. Let's start with the market move here. This total opened up at 44. It's moved to 44.5 at almost all the books. Pinnacle still holding out, but the over 44 just to minus 117. Saints open at minus 1.5. They're now at minus 2, and Heritage has moved this to minus 2.5. Now let's take a look at the cash flow. 4,022 tickets in. 24% of the tickets are on Washington, but 61% of the cash. Wow. Big bets being made on the Washington Football Team. Then we have 35% of tickets on the under, but 98% of the cash on the under. The Washington defense is still extremely confusing to me. Bebs, you want to jump in?
No. I just coughed, Jimmy. That's all. Okay. I'm just suppressing a cough.
Saints coming off an unexpected 27-21 overtime loss at home to the Giants. Jameis Winston, 17-23, 226 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. He is fine. It's the blame is not on Winston here. Let's take this moment to stop and drop our very own Jameis Winston highlight reel.
I believe that Jameis Winston will be fine.
I think that Jameis Winston should win Comeback Player of the Year, possibly lead the NFL in passing yards. Winston looked so in control, and he's just different.
This is a different Jameis. We talked about it last week. I have faith in Jameis, but is it as simple as laser eye surgery? Is it?
Jameis Winston looked lost, and he's incapable of communicating and making smart decisions. He's just incapable between the ears of playing elite football in the NFL.
I'm not going to sell on him yet, but he did look terrible.
Jameis Winston, 13-21, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and I was impressed. You know, he's not eating W's and throwing 2 fingers directly into his mouth anymore.
I bet Jameis Winston drives around with no seatbelt. I love this guy. He was in command of the offense. He didn't make mistakes, and he looked like good Jameis Winston. Will we see good Jameis Winston again this week? Maybe.
Marquez Callaway caught 2 passes for 74 yards from Winston. Deontay Harris caught 5 passes for 52 yards. Alvin Kamara looked like a monster on the ground, but Drew Brees made Alvin Kamara a monster, also catching passes out of the backfield, something that Winston has been unable to do. Certainly Taysom Hill could not do it at all, but I thought that Winston would be able to do that. Kamara ran 26 times for 120 yards. The secondary was nowhere to be found. Daniel Jones put up 402 yards passing. Malcolm Jenkins was all over the field, 12 tackles. Pete Werner had 10, but they didn't register a sack. Now, Daniel Jones did get hit 6 times. Tony Jones Jr., running back, carted off the field. Ankle injuries list is out for this week. Will Lutz, abdomen, expected to be sidelined for a few more weeks. They think week 7 for him. Center Eric McCoy, offensive tackle Teron Armstead missed the game last week, and their list is questionable this week. Washington defense still looks much weaker than expected, but Heineke is delivering magic. And I don't know if Fitzy gets his job back. Heineke, 23 for 33, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Also ran 5 times for 43 yards. Scary Terry led the way with 6 receptions for 123 yards, 2 touchdowns. J.D. McKissick caught 5 passes for 44 yards, and the game-winning TD. That was a thing of beauty. Antonio Gibson ran 14 times for 63 yards and 1 touchdown. Also, Curtis Samuel made his season debut, returning from the groin injury, 4 catches for 19 yards. Bebsie, I ask you this each week, but this is front 7, 1 sack. They did get 6 quarterback hits. This defense, though, they give up 374 yards and 24 first downs to the Falcons, which is one of the lowest ranked offenses. The Falcons go 10 for 16 on 3rd down. Dustin Hopkins misses 2 extra points. Logan Thomas knocked out of the game in the first quarter of the hamstring injury. He's listed week to week. He won't be in there this coming Sunday. Brandon Scherf to the locker room with a knee injury, diagnosed with a sprained MCL. He's out for 2 to 3 weeks. Linebacker John Bostic was placed on injured reserve with a pectoral injury. Cam Sims suffered a hamstring injury. He's listed as questionable. Another wide receiver, Jami Brown, suffered a knee injury, listed as questionable. Cornerback Torrey McTyer was placed on injured reserve. This Washington team is dealing with a lot of injuries. This Saints team is angry. This game is befuddling. Can you shed some light on this spot, Saints, Washington football team, Bebsie?
First of all, I'd like to touch on something you said. Are you insinuating that Fitzmagic might be looking for another NFL team in the offseason? I won't hear it. I won't hear it. That guy, was there like 3 teams left he hasn't played for? Yeah. Heineke should keep that job. I said at the start of the year that that's the only reason Fitzy was there was because they wanted to stick with Heineke, but they weren't sure he was the safety blanket. Heineke's looking good. I have faith in Heineke. You're right though. This Washington defensive front has been underwhelming. Chase Young, although looks good at times. He's not been exploding in his second year like a lot of people thought he would be. Again, this goes back to the holds, though. You're allowed to hold now. You're fully allowed to hold at all times. It's stupid. I hate it so much. But I'm with you. It's a perplexing game. Jameis Winston, is he back? I don't know. He's playing football. He's playing. They're just keeping him in a pocket. So it's like, and not the pocket, but they're just like, play here, Jameis, and don't start closing your eyes and heaving it down the fucking football field. That's where you get in trouble. He's fine when he just stays, keeps it tight, plays safe. Play it safe, Jameis. If Jameis Winston plays it safe, the Saints are going to win this football game. If Washington watched a lot of injuries, and the Logan Thomas injury is huge. He is such an important part of this offense. Not having him hurts a lot. So I think you have to look at the Saints, given the injuries, even though they're on the road, coming off a really, really tough loss. So angry Saints team would be my bet. Now the over is a little bit interesting to me. A secondary that played abysmal last week for the New Orleans Saints, and a secondary that is abysmal in Washington. So I could, well, now I'm hoping Jameis Winston can torch a defense, which I don't think he's capable of doing.
Both of those looks go against this plan I am going to try to put into action.
I did say Bebsie. I did say that. That is my name this week.
Oh, no, but I'm not going to back Washington here. I don't know what to make of that football team, and I think it's probably a buy low spot on New Orleans, but 24% of the tickets, just 24% of the tickets on Washington, but 61% of cash. So and then we have 35% of tickets, 98% of cash on the under. And I guess when it comes down to it, I don't know what's going to happen in this game. And Heineke is definitely a special quarterback that people want to believe in. I don't know from a skill standpoint if he is a special quarterback. In fact, he's not. But from a character standpoint, these guys want to believe in him. And when you hear Scary Terry talking about how no play's ever dead, when Heineke's back there, Scary Terry saying all these great things about Heineke, this team believes in him.
He's an inspiring quarterback. He's not special. He's inspiring. You almost get that the Kurt Warner feeling about him. The guy who bagged groceries. Heineke wasn't bagging groceries, but he was not far off. He was out. He was done with football. And he came crawling back in, and now look, he's making headlines. So teams like that get behind that guy, and they like him.
Dennis Garcia is already on the over 44. Maybe simply put, that's just the right look, but I'm going to put that comment there, Dennis, on my notes page, but again, it's going to go against a plan I want to put in action right now. There is Saints, Washington football team, no move from either of us at this point, but catch us on Sunday. We'll be doing this once more. We move on to the Philadelphia Eagles at Carolina Panthers, Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's move over here and get this up. From a market standpoint, we have Carolina opening up at -4.5. That's gone down to 3.5. This total opened up at 46. It's down to 45. From a cash flow standpoint, we have 4,854 tickets in. 70% of the tickets are on the Panthers and 94% of the cash. Now, Philadelphia has a lot of injury issues, especially on the offensive line. It's a lot of money on Carolina. Then we have 46% of tickets on the under and 27% of cash on the under. So a lot of money coming in on this over. We'll start with Philly. Eagles come in off a 42-30 home loss at the hands of the Kansas City Chiefs, an angry Chiefs squad. And Andy Reid coming back to Philly. And Andy Reid breaking a record, being the first player to ever, or first coach to ever have 100 wins for two different franchises. The Eagles' offense looked really good to me, but then this Chiefs' defense is so bad. 3 touchdowns negated by penalties, and they settled for field goals 3 times inside the red zone, and they still put up 30 points. Jalen Hurts, 32 of 48 for 387 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Also ran 8 times for 47 yards. Devonta Smith was what we were hoping. I shouldn't say hoping, but he finally stepped up. 7 catches for 122 yards. He only had 115 yards receiving combined through the first 3 games. The Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert tight end tandem, which we thought could be such a weapon for them, especially if Devonta Smith can be dangerous on the outside, was really good in this game. But again, I don't understand if it's just how bad the Chiefs secondary is, but 6 catches for 60 yards for Ertz. Goddard, 5 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown. Jason Kelsey made his 109th consecutive start, and thank God for him. He was the only member of Philadelphia's starting offensive line to play. Lane Johnson was scratched due to a personal matter. The Eagles' defense did not look good. 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits, and safety Rodney McLeod made his first appearance in suffering that torn ACL last December. It was nice to see him on the field. The Panthers coming up a 36-28 loss to the Cowboys. It was their first full game this season without Christian McCaffrey. They had so many advantages. Now, yes, the game was in Dallas, but they had so many advantages with them playing on the Thursday night, Dallas playing on the Monday night, and they weren't able to take advantage of it. Sam Darnold, 26 of 39, 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. DJ Moore looks so good with Darnold, where we're waiting for Robbie Anderson to be that second weapon. Moore caught 8 passes for 113 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chuba Hubbard ran 13 times for 56 yards, caught 2 passes for 14 yards. Their defense got 0 sacks and just 1 quarterback hit. Very, very disappointed in that defense. And this is a healthy squad. You have Shaq Thompson. He suffered a foot injury in that Cowboys game, and that hurt them, but he's undergoing the MRI. Then you have McCaffrey and Gross Matos, their defensive end. But that's it. This is a very healthy squad, so healthy compared to Philadelphia. And I guess that has to be why all this money's coming in on Carolina. Let's just go once more over this. Philadelphia doesn't have too many people on the injured list either. Got Mailata, who didn't play last week, Lane Johnson, who we don't know what's going on, and then Opita, who is on the COVID-19 list, but he's not used that much.
But they're also Brooks, are they not? Brooks is still up.
Brooks is still up. Eagles, Panthers, Bebsie, take it away.
Well, I mean, you got Brooks, Mailata, and Johnson out. There's the 3 best players on your offensive line. That's huge. That's catastrophic. Most teams would fold with that. Plus Brandon Graham on the other side. I think you're right, Jimmy. The Philadelphia Eagles were clicking on offense, but I think a lot of that has to do with the Kansas City Chiefs secondary. Their defense in general is just not a good football team, a good group rather. So I think that probably has inflated our sense of what this Philadelphia offense can do. And look, Carolina finally came up against a worthy opponent. The Cowboys, I hate to say it, the Cowboys are looking good. Cowboys fans are losing their minds planning the parade, as they often do around this time of year. But yeah, this is a spot where I think we find out who Carolina is, because Carolina riding high, 3-0, rolling to finally play a good team. Now they're playing Philadelphia, which is not an awful team. They've looked awful at times, but they're not a great team. They have to come in and smash the Eagles for me to believe in the Panthers. And so some people are betting on that to happen right now. And I think it could, but before I lay my hard-earned cash with them, I want to also believe in them myself. And look, this team from the start, I wanted to believe in them. I like Sam Darnold. I'm happy he's getting another chance. I'm happy he's playing pretty well here, but I need to see a statement win from them here after that loss.
0 sacks, 1 quarterback hit on Dak. Is this Panthers defense not nearly as good as we thought they were going into that game? And I know they don't have a rich history of being good.
No, but they're also, again, they're finally coming up against a good offensive line, a good quarterback. It's hard to compare teams so early in the season when they're playing like up and down teams, right? So we'll see. They should be able to eat this week against this patchwork Philadelphia Eagles line. Are we sure Lane Johnson is out?
No.
He's questionable?
Well, we don't know what's going on. I don't know if anybody knows. It's a personal thing, and no one's, leaking anything to the press.
I mean, if he doesn't play, they're in a lot of trouble. Against any NFL defensive front, they should be able to eat it's not just 3 out of 5 players being backups. These are good players that aren't playing.
There's no doubt about it. The offensive line, but even with even with just Jason Kelce on the offensive line, they put up a lot of points. Is it because the Chiefs' defense is so weak?
Chiefs' defense is really, really soft right now. They've got to right the ship before that Chiefs team can be taken seriously against any big guns.
All right, that is Philadelphia Eagles at Carolina Panthers. We move on to 1 p.m. Eastern. Tennessee Titans at Jacksonville Jaguars. Titans are 2-2, 1-1 on the road. Jaguars 0-4, 0-2 at home. We're in Jacksonville, Florida for this contest. Let's take a look at the market in this spot. We have Tennessee opening up -3.5. They're now -4. This total opened up at 48. There are 48.5s on the board. There has been an 8-cent move to the over at Pinnacle. Let's move over to the market in this spot. 6,506 tickets in. And look at this, 89% of the tickets on the Titans, 89% of cash on the Titans. Then from a total perspective, 62% of cash on the over, 69%, or 62% of tickets on the over, 69% of cash on the over. Titans coming off a 27-24 loss at the New York Jets without Julio Jones and A.J. Brown, unavailable due to injuries. Tannehill still was okay, 30 of 49 for 298 yards, 1 touchdown. McNichols was his main weapon, 8 catches for 74 yards. Chester Rogers, who was returning punts and looked dangerous as a wide receiver, 5 catches for 63 yards. Josh Reynolds, 6 catches for 59 yards. Derrick Henry was a tank, as always. And it was such a simple player prop, knowing that the injuries were so devastating to their top 2 wide receivers. Why not back Derrick Henry? But I was just trying so hard not to bet any player props. And 33 carries for 157 yards, 1 touchdown. The Titans defense couldn't sustain any pressure on the Jets offensive line dealing with injuries. No Becton. I mean, just a weak offensive line. And the Titans got 1 sack and 1 quarterback hit on Zach Wilson. Tommy Townsend came in for Brett Kern, and that first punt was 12 yards. I mean, that's his first kick with the Titans. It seems Titans always have these issues. Left guard Roger Saffold suffered a concussion, didn't return. He's in concussion protocol. Defensive tackle Larry Murchison placed on injured reserve before the game, on the Friday before the game, due to an elbow injury, so he's gone. Tight end Tommy Hudson questionable with an ankle injury. Running back Darrington Evans is expected to be available off the IR this week. And Julio Jones and A.J. Brown are still just listed as questionable. 2021 first-round pick Caleb Farley, their cornerback that a lot of people want to see, has yet to make his debut, continued to be listed as questionable. Bud Dupree played the first 2 games of the season, and he's not been playing. They say that in case of emergency, he's ready to go. We know he's a big difference maker. I don't know what to say. I don't know if he's going to be in the lineup or not. Brett Kern, their punter, who they need in there, is listed as questionable. The Jaguars. They looked good against the Bengals. But now you have Urban Meyer off this, pretty ugly situation. It's the first clip of the blonde just kind of, shaking her ass in his lap. I mean, it didn't look good. But the second clip of him, pushing 2 fingers, it doesn't look good. He's an asshole. The first picture that came out of them at this fundraiser, he's like, they're proud to have Urban Meyer at the fundraiser. Then his wife says, puts a picture of her with the kids. I'm at home with the children, have fun tonight. And then he's sitting there, forcing 2 fingers. It looks bad, but he's an asshole. What do you expect from an asshole like this? And now I bet he'll be very focused on football. But it takes a little bit of the luster away from the Jaguars looking like an improving squad. And Trevor Lawrence looked very good in that last game, 17 of 24 for 204 yards. He also ran 8 times for 36 yards and 1 touchdown. Even though he didn't get it into the end zone there on 4th and goal at the 1.5 or the 2-yard line at the end of the first half, that at 6'6", he's going to be a really tough guy to stop in those situations moving forward. Chanot led receivers with 6 catches for 99 yards. Robinson ran 18 times for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jags still can't get any pressure on the quarterback. They got 1 sack and 3 quarterback hits. Shark broke an ankle on the 3rd play of the game and didn't return. That's going to hurt. A.J. Cann was injured in the second quarter, their guard, with a knee injury. They've both been put on the injured reserve. They activated rookie offensive lineman Walker Little from the COVID-19 list. He'd been on that COVID-19 list since September 20th. Ben Barch replaced Cann in the starting lineup, and Jamal Agnew, who's pretty electric, is expected to step in for Shark. Interesting spot here. Titans, Jaguars, market moving towards the Titans. Do you agree?
I agree 100%, and I'm also going to move on the Titans here, despite the fact that, the Jags are looking a little better. They already had reservations about Urban Meyer. He's made some piss poor decisions already in a very short time. I think he's lost the room entirely now. He is an asshole, and he's not an NFL coach. And I just think, there's a ton of injuries right now with Tennessee. But what's worse than that is an entire team thinking their head coach is an ass clown. And I think they lose. I think they lose in embarrassing fashion here. And I think I said Urban Meyer wasn't going to see week 11 as a head coach. It might be much, much sooner than that. There's players within the locker room leaking shit about him. That is total dissension. This team is not going to be ready to play this week. I'm all in on Tennessee here.
Wow, all in on Tennessee. And very interesting notes from the chat here that make a lot of sense. Birdie says, I bet Titans -4. Lombardi leaking that players have no respect for Meyer. So much distraction. How's this team going to be ready? Players want Meyer fired. Slatsy says, can't bet this until we know the Titans receiver injury situation. Jags could be able to move the ball on this defense. Dennis Garcia says, I took Tennessee -3.5. I feel real bad about it. Horrible spot for Tennessee, but my number came at 6. So Noli knows that Jets apply a lot of pressure. Are we sure that the Titans can do that? The Jets applied a lot of pressure on the Titans. Are we sure that that's something that the Jaguars can do? Dennis Garcia says, are we sure Jacksonville's better than the Jets? Because I'm not sure. Jets were getting almost a touchdown. Jacksonville getting a lot less points. Burgundy says, why is the line gone from -4.5 to -4 with all the money and tickets coming on the Titans? Let's take another look at that here. So 89% of tickets, 89% of cash on the Titans. And I have the market moving towards the Titans because I have a Pinnacle opening line. I'm using Pinnacle's opening line. That's 3.5. So that makes sense to me. All this makes sense to me.
The hardest decision for me right now in this game is whether to double up or not. I'm trying to decide whether I go first half and full game here.
Well, let's take a look at what we are dealing with here. First off, full game is going to be on your card, right? All right,
yes.
so let's get you that first full game on the Titans here. Tennessee Titans, you're getting a -4 at -108 available at Pinnacle and Heritage. Titans -4 at -108. Full game, and that is available -4, -108 available at Pinnacle. The whole situation with them is confounding because even if you weren't a head coach of a NFL football team, let's just say you were a bar owner. Let's just say you own this fucking bar and your wife's at home babysitting the children. Would you even want the rest of the staff to know that you're just comfortable sitting back with this girl? That, let alone, the fact that you're an NFL head coach, now Meyer's just a fucking idiot. He's just so stupid to allow that type of situation to happen, because I would think that I wouldn't even want my staff at the bar to know I'm that much of an asshole, let alone you're this.
But that's the difference. You think that way because you're not a piece of shit. He does that thought didn't enter his head. He wasn't like, I don't want to look bad in front of my staff. He's like, I'm fucking Urban Meyer.
It's just shocking. And I have no problem with what Khan did either. I don't think that he should be fired right away. Khan's got this huge investment in him. And, I don't know what kind of contract he signed. I don't know if that's a, cut him, fire him. I have no problem with Khan keeping him. Also, I'm not saying that if I was the owner, I would fire him immediately or anything like that. I don't think I would have hired him in the first place, but, So with all that being said, Titans -4, -108 seems to be backed by the chat, and there's a lot of strong cappers in this chat. Are you going to add first half, or do you want it just to be?
I'm going to leave it alone at full game only.
Okay.
But God, I want to move first half as well. I think the Jags. Here's the thing: Tennessee always starts pretty slow, but I think you're going to see a Jags team come out pretty flat after everything that's been going on. Again, when you're 4 weeks into the season and players are talking shit and leaking information about what's going on about your head coach, that is bad. That is big time bad news. In my grade 10 football team, we week 1 we won a very hard fought contest. It's not a pretty game. It was an ugly game. And our coach, after the game, instead of pumping us up, came and told us that we're the worst team he's ever coached. Well, we lost every game for the rest of the season. We all hated him after that. It's hard to get up and play when you hate your fucking coach, and this team does not like their coach. Yes, I referenced my grade 10 football.
Well, when he didn't make James Robinson the RB1 in game 1.
That was insane.
I could not. It was just unbelievable to do that to a locker room. All right, Bebsie moving on the Titans -4, -108, and this is clearly a game I need to sit and stare at all night long. So, no move for me at this point. We move on. New England Patriots at Houston Texans. Patriots 1-3, 1-0 on the road. Texans 1-3, 1-1 at home. We're at Energy Stadium in Houston, Texas. Let's start with the market here. This is the last 1 p.m. game on the schedule. It opened up as New England 9-point favorites. Pinnacle has moved it to 8.5. Take a look at the total here, 9 to 8.5. This total opened up at 39. It's gone up to 40 at Pinnacle. They're leading the way in that charge, by the way. You wager at 40, but the rest of the book's at 39.5. Then let's go over to the cash flow in this spot. 4,779 tickets in, 66% of the tickets, 65% of the cash on New England, and the market's moving to the Texans. Then 59% of the tickets on the under, 93% of the cash on the under. Wow. Patriots coming off a 19-17 loss at home to the Buccaneers in Brady's first game back. It was a very questionable, I don't even think we can call it a questionable decision by Belichick. It was a wrong decision. From a coach who changed the way other coaches handle fourth downs. At 4th and 3 at the 37-yard line with 56 or 59 seconds left on the clock, right? 59 seconds to create the 56-yard field goal. It was just the wrong decision. And I guess there's a lot of pressure on Bill in that game. But it was pretty shocking to see just a wrong decision like that made. I don't know what else to say. It doesn't confuse me anymore. I'm not confused. He was wrong. He made a mistake. And, you watch Phil Ivey make a mistake on the poker table. And players, coaches, athletes, everybody, there's mistakes out there, and he made one. Patriots are 1-3 for the first time since 2001. Belichick dropped to 8-12 since Brady left New England. Jones looked good, 31-40, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Jacoby Myers caught 8 passes for 70 yards and threw 2 passes that were both caught for 45 yards. Kendrick Bourne caught 5 passes for 58 yards. Patriots ran 8 times for -1 yard in the rain. It was everything that the Patriots did in that game made offensively. Defense, they looked good, but offensively made no sense. But even defensively, they weren't able to put enough pressure on Brady. He was just having trouble throwing the ball. It was a very strange game. They sacked Brady once. They hit him 3 times. Matt Judon, 7 tackles, 2 for losses, 1 sack, 2 of 3 quarterback hits. He's just a beast. Defensive end Henry Anderson left the game in the second quarter with a chest injury, and it is a torn pectoral. So he's now going to miss the rest of the 2021 season. Defensive back Cody Davis left the game in the third quarter with a knee injury. Offensive tackle Isaiah Wynn, guard Mike Onwenu are both on COVID-19 reserve. Offensive tackle Trent Brown and linebacker Jawan Bentley missed the game, missed the last game, and listed as questionable this week. Texans coming off a 40-0 shutout loss at Buffalo. The Bills just destroyed them. They limited Houston to 199 yards, 109 yards of offense, 8 in the first half. 8 yards of offense in the first half. 6 first downs. Davis Mills looked like an underqualified rookie. 11 for 27 for 87 yards, no touchdowns, 4 picks. Brandon Cooks caught 5 of Mills' 11 completions for 47 yards. Ingram ran 6 times for 24 yards. David Johnson ran 5 times for 21 yards, caught 3 passes for 27 yards. And Houston's defense was pretty good again. And I've been saying that all year, and I believed in them. We talked all about the decisions that were made with the 1- and 2-year contracts, and I really supported them. They held Buffalo to 19 points, touchdown, 4 field goals through 3 quarters. I mean, that's good. Now they broke down in the 4th, but they managed a sack and 4 quarterback hits. Zach Cunningham was placed in COVID-19 protocol on Friday, was deemed a close contact. That was a big loss for them, so they can be better than they were. Now, he could return by week 5 if he continues to test negative. Cornerback Jimmy Moreland, running back Scotty Phillips, wide receiver Danny Amendola all missed the game. And Ellis is questionable to play this week. Is this too many points for the Texans to have at home? Because I think this might be a buy low opportunity on the Texans when the Patriots are coming off this emotional game. Is this a Texan spot?
I don't know how you can lay money with the Texans. I get your logic here. It makes sense, but it's not a good football team, and you want to lay money with them. I wouldn't. Again, this is Bill Belichick facing a rookie quarterback. How many times have we talked about this? How many times have we talked about Bill Belichick just making a rookie quarterback look like an asshole? He's going to do that again this week. Davis Mills, he got thrust into action. He's not ready to play yet. I'm rooting for the guy, but I don't know if you can. Even with the points, I do believe it's too many points, and it is a good buy low spot. There's other ways to attack this game, and it's not the spread. So
how are you going to attack this game? This total then has gone from 39 to 39.5 and 40. Crystal Warren like in the under in this spot. When we go back to the cash flow in this spot, we have 59% of the tickets, 93% of cash on the under. Do you agree with Crystal Warren, and are you against the market move?
I agree with Crystal Warren here. I'm interested in Houston's team total.
Now we will, before we lock anything in, I'll just right now, just for time purposes, I'll give you the team total here at Bet365, but we can get you a better one, I'm sure. The team total for the Texans is 13.5. Juice to the over. Very low.
Yeah. But I don't know if I see them getting 2 touchdowns. I do like the under in this.
All right, we have a possible. So, are you going to move on the full game under or the team total under?
I'm gonna move on the full game under here.
A full game under move for Bebsie. Let's give it to you right now, or line chop it first. Here we go. The under 40 at minus 110 is available at Pinnacle. That moved to 40 yesterday at 130. Under 40 at minus 110. Full game under 40 at minus 110. Top set likes that. This is going to take some more time for me, this game, because I do feel that the Texans can keep it within 9 points. I guess the Yanks score in the 6th fucking inning, so I don't get that. Just garbage. I do think that the Texans can keep this within 9. Let me just look one more time and see if I can possibly make this bet here. The Texans spread, and then the market move here. We have 34% of the tickets on the Texans, 35% of the cash. That fits. I honestly think that the Patriots are coming off a very emotional spot, and the Texans are not as bad as that 40-0 loss at Buffalo. Buffalo is a very good football team, and I just think the Texans can keep this close. We'll see. I'll have to take some time on this. Texans is a possibility here for me. Texans, full game. Okay, let's move on. Those are all the 1 p.m. games. We move on to 4:05 p.m. Eastern, and a beauty staring us in the face. Chicago Bears 2-2, 0-2 on the road at Las Vegas Raiders 3-1, 2-0 at home at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. And quickly on that last game, Birdie says, not sure the Texans will score at all, to be honest. This is a game historically where the Pats D covers the number. I'm calling back-to-back shutouts here. Jesus. Back-to-back shutouts. Maybe Bebsie's under is the look in that spot. All right, Bears, Raiders. I think this game is going to be very enjoyable from a handicapping standpoint. Raiders open up as 5.5-point favorites. There has been a 3-cent move to the Bears. 3-cent move to the Bears. From a total perspective, we have it opening up at 44.5 and a 3-cent move. No, sorry, a 1-cent move to the over. Very little movement there. Be very curious to see what the market has done with this spot. 3,530 tickets in. 67% of the tickets, 97% of the cash on Las Vegas. Wow. Then 37% of tickets, 26% of cash on the under. So big bets coming in on the over. Okay. Bears come in off a confidence-building 24-14 home win over the Detroit Lions. They scored touchdowns on their first 2 possessions. They put up 373 yards after being held by till 47 by the Cleveland Browns. That was the 9th lowest in NFL history. Fields was 11 for 17 for 209 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Also sacked just once. That was much better than being taken out 9 times for 67 yards while throwing for 68 yards the previous week. Darnell Mooney was Fields' main weapon. 5 catches for 125 yards. Allen Robinson caught 3 passes for 63 yards. The rest of the team caught 3 catches. Got 3 balls for 21 yards. The Bears as a team rushed 39 times for 188 yards, led by David Montgomery's 23 carries for 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. Damian Williams, 8 carries for 55 yards, and 1 touchdown. They looked very good on the ground. The bad news that David Montgomery hurt himself in the 4th quarter, now nursing a sprain that is expected to sideline him 4 to 5 weeks. Damian Williams suffered a thigh bruise. He's listed as questionable. You know that Damian Williams is eyeing a chance to be the RB1 for the Bears, and he'll probably play when maybe he shouldn't. Alec Ogletree, 12 tackles. Roquan Smith, 10 tackles, 1 sack. Bears got 4 sacks and 7 quarterback hits. And then the big part is what JT is saying. No Akeem Hicks here. Akeem Hicks leaves in the 1st quarter with a groin injury and is listed as questionable. They were not that much better than the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions are just, everything that we love about them. They're like a cartoon football team. But they weren't that much better than them. Lions kept making mistakes. Now the Raiders coming off short rest after Monday's 28-14 loss at the Chargers. We were sort of waiting. Look, I thought that half point was important, and I was on the Raiders, and it was a wrong look. And I also wanted to bet against the Chargers after that season-defining win. But Waller, Renfro, Ruggs, look how dominant these guys looked the week before. Let me just pull this up. The week before in this Raiders game, these guys looked absolutely – they just looked like they had weapons everywhere, and that changed against the weak – or that changed against a very strong defense or looked different against a very weak defense. Let me just pull up their line from last week. Sorry. So last week here on this Monday nighter, we had – the Raiders getting – so Derek Carr throws for 386 yards. Bryan Edwards catches 3 passes for 89 yards. Ruggs 4 for 78. Renfro 5 for 77. Waller 5 for 54. Waller's receptions and yards keep dropping. Josh Jacobs returns from injury, and he doesn't look very good. 13 carries for 40 yards. The Raiders, with Jacobs nursing this injury, and even last week, one of the main things was how good Peyton Barber looked, but Peyton Barber's not being able to continually play at that level, and that's why he's not an RB1. The Raiders ran 18 times for 48 yards. Let's take a look at their injuries right now in the most updated fashion. We have Barber questionable, Jacobs not on the injury list, so that's a good sign. Derek Carrier suffered a pectoral injury, but that's fine. Nate Hobbs suffered a head injury, so he's in concussion protocol. Arnett and Mullen Jr. missed last week, so they're out. So there's 3 cornerbacks out. In saying all that, I think they're the look even on short rest. I think the Bears are a wounded team. Obviously, Justin Fields feels confident, but maybe this is a buy low spot on the Raiders. Take it away, Bebsie. Bears, Raiders.
I'm all in on Vegas here for a number of reasons. Them being at home, Bears have been bad on the road. But a big reason is Justin Fields. My biggest knock on Justin Fields, same biggest knock he had in college, is showing out in the NFL as well. He hangs on to the ball too long. You can get away with that against Detroit when they don't have much of a pass rush. Max Crosby, going to be all over. Carl Nassib, Yannick Ngakoue. These guys are going to get after him. And he's going to get sacked. And he's, he does protect the ball well, but he's going to get sacked. Vegas is coming off a tough loss. They're coming back home. And I really like Vegas in this spot. I don't see the Bears, without Akiem Hicks, without Montgomery, who's been an absolute workhorse for him. And Jimmy, you're right. Williams trying to play on a hip bruise. I don't know if anybody's had like a deep tissue hip bruise before, but it's agony. And they'll pump him full of shit and he'll be able to get through there. But that is an extremely difficult injury to play through. I just don't see the Bears having enough mustard. And like Dennis Garcia said, there's a lot of botched plays that made that win against Detroit look a lot more convincing than it was. I think people are a little too high on the Bears after that and maybe reading too much into this loss with Vegas against a very good Chargers football team who's starting to put it together. Vegas down to their 4th-string CB and still managing to keep the Chargers in check for large portions of this game. I think this is a solid play for Vegas here. The number is weird to me. 5.5 feels weird, but I'm gonna take it nonetheless.
Yeah, I wish I could have got a 3 on the first half because there's a 3 at Heritage and a 3 at U-Wager right now. I think it's a great bet. -3, -116 at Heritage, -3, -115 U-Wager. Bet 365 hanging at 3.5. I'm going to find out after this show what it would cost to get a 3. But
Are you saying I should go first half full game here, Jimmy?
I'm starting to think that we're taking advantage of a score that the audience, that the public, that people are looking at here. And that's why 67% of tickets, 97% of cash are on the Raiders. I think we got to get in on this fast. I should have figured this out before. Let's just see if I can get an alternate first half. No, they're not giving me much here. They're giving me Raiders -7.5 at +210. That's about it. I would like a different first half. And one will come sooner or later here. Yeah,
if I can get first half -3, I'll take that. Because I saw a -4 on mine.
Oh, there's no 4s that I see right now. But you can get a -3 right now. You wager at -115. Let's give you that first half. So Bebsie, first half -3 at -115. Oh, that was at you wager. And then full game. Let's line shop for you. I'm going to move on this after the game, after the show. It just makes sense to take advantage of what people are seeing. And that's why 97% of the cash right now is on the Raiders. You're taking advantage of a poor Raiders game against a great team, and then a Bears final score that really wasn't indicative of what we saw in that game, and against the worst team, one of the worst teams in the league. So a -5.5, I can give you that at -102 at Pinnacle, which does mean there's been a 3-cent move to the Bears, but that doesn't scare me. -5.5 at -102, and that is available at Pinnacle. So a double up spot for Bebsie. I'm going to come in. I'm going to join you. Rowdy says Bosa calling out Carr after the game is going to have a chip on his shoulder. JT says Raiders will go in a teaser for me once his number hits 6. Johnny K says Raiders have been a second half team. Top set on the Bears first half. THC's Rizza says not a double up spot with that line. All right. Dennis Rice says Raiders run game needs to get better. I think that they didn't make an attempt, but just need to get better. JT says Bears on the road this season have been horrid. Harold Williams says Raiders will finish last in that division. I mean, that's what everybody expected before the season started. Topset says Bears D can keep this close. This Bears D is very good. Akeem Hicks may or may not be in the lineup, but they've dealt with some injuries to other key spots in that roster that are trying to play through these injuries. I think this is a defense that we can attack that's not the Bears defense of old, and they are always going to look better at Soldier Field than they do on the road. All right, I'm with you. Let's go. We move on to 4:05 p.m. Eastern. What a beauty this is turning out to be. Cleveland Browns 3-1, 1-1 on the road at Los Angeles Chargers, 3-1, 1-1 at home. SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. I only made 7 future bets, and they all look really good right now. And we know how quickly that can change. 4 of them were on the Browns. Win the division. Now I know the Ravens are staking their claim to be right there with them. The over in win total, which is I think I don't want to use the L word, but I'm very confident in. Then I have to win the AFC and the Super Bowl. The other spots I have, Packers to win the division. I mean, that the Buccaneers over 11.5 wins. That just seems so comforting. And the Falcons under 7.5 wins, and I got that at even money. Those are the only 7 games or 7 future bets I've made, and I feel very good about all of them. Let's talk about Browns, Chargers. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch, and a good read on how good this Browns team is. Chargers open up as just 1.5-point favorites, so the market's saying that on a neutral site, the Browns would be favored, which makes me feel good, even though I don't know if I am 100% on board just because of the way Mayfield's not look nearly as strong as Herbert so far in this season. His total opened up at 48.5. It's dropped to 46.5. That makes a ton of sense to me as well. Let's move over to the cash flow in this spot. We have a 78% confidence that the Chargers will go to -2-point favorites. So confident that the Chargers, and that comes with 49% of the tickets on the Browns and 74% of the cash on the Browns. Then we don't have the amount of money that's on the total at this point, but we do know that 77% of tickets are on the under at this point. We've watched it drop 2 points. Stefanski returned to Minnesota, where he's an assistant coach for 14 years and led his team to a 14-7 win. Mayfield, 15 for 33 for 155 yards. He doesn't look great. Rashard Higgins caught 4 passes for 63 yards. No one else caught more than 2 passes. ODB led the rest of the receivers with just 27 yards. The Browns double up would have cashed again. Chubb ran 21 times for 100 yards. Kareem Hunt ran 14 times for 69 yards. The Browns got just...
Was Old Dirty Bastard playing in that game?
Yeah. Hotel. Oh, did I say ODB?
You said ODB.
Okay, my fault. My fault.
Hey, shout out to one of the greats, May he rest in peace.
He was one of the greatest characters.
Sure, yeah. I'm not saying he's one of the greatest Raptors. Now I can't speak.
One of the greatest lyricists of all time.
Yeah, clearly.
Browns got 2 sacks, but were able to get pressure on Cousins all game. 10 quarterback hits. Myles Garrett, 5 tackles, 2 for a loss, half a sack, and 4 quarterback hits. Greedy Williams picked off Cousins. First time Cousins being picked off all year. Ronnie Harrison Jr. left the game in the first quarter with a concussion, but he did not sustain a concussion. At least that's what they said, and he's expected to be good to go. Left tackle Jedrick Willis Jr. aggravated his ankle injury in the third quarter, didn't return. He's expected to have an MRI done yesterday, but I couldn't get any update on it. Center Nick Harris has been moved to the injured reserve. Greg Newsome out still. He missed last week. He's questionable to play this week. And offensive tackle Chris Hubbard, questionable. Chargers were very impressive in their 28-14 win over the Raiders on Monday night. It was a very professional win. Herbert, 25-38 for 222 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jared Cook, 6 catches for 70 yards, 1 touchdown. Mike Williams made just 1 catch for 11 yards, but Keenan Allen caught 7 for 36 yards. So Mike Williams and Keenan Allen combined for 47 yards, and it's a very comfortable victory. Austin Eckler was a monster. 17 carries for 117 yards. Eckler was just dominant. They got 4 sacks and 7 quarterback hits. Let's take a quick look at their injury report because it's minimal. Justin Jones, defensive tackles on the injured reserve. They placed him on Monday. Kenneth Murray, linebacker, injured reserve on Monday. Chris Harris Jr. still questionable. We know that Bulaga, he got the procedure on his back, so he's going to be out for a while. But this is a very small injury list for a very good football team. I'm very interested in your breakdown here. Browns, Chargers, take it away.
I wish I could steer you in the right direction or be definitive in one way or the other. My lean, I'll get this out of the way. My lean would be the Browns and the points, especially if the points move a little bit more. It's just a tough spot. It's a tough spot for the Browns to go into SoFi, even though SoFi doesn't have a home field. I mean, SoFi felt like a Raiders home field game. Now, mind you, proximity to Raiders fans from the Bay Area versus, Cleveland is going to be a little different. But, there's going to be some Browns fans in there. They're going to be loud. But I just think, well, yeah, again, this could have been a pick 'em, and I think I would probably have a harder time with that. I just lean with them because they're dogs in this one. I think they can still control the game with their running attack. I just don't. I mean, it's a tough. I'm going to sit back and enjoy that match because the Chargers are surging. The Browns have been playing great. It's coming off a tough Week 1 loss. But yeah, this is a defining game for both of these teams. It's probably their toughest matchup so far. And yeah, sometimes a game is so good you just want to sit back and watch it. This is one of them. Lean Browns, but again, with Mayfield playing mediocre right now and Herbert playing great. Fuck me, that's a tough to lay with Mayfield right now because Herbert started out slow and now he's looking like that player that we all thought he could be last year. And I mean, it's hard to bet against Herbert. So I told you I was going to be wishy-washy from the start. Again, lean Browns, but no confidence in that. This could go either way. This should just be a fantastic football game.
I can't wait to watch this game as well. I think it will go a long way telling us about who truly is elite. R says under, Browns better defense than Raiders. Caveman Bet says Browns run game versus Chargers run defense may be the biggest mismatch of the week. Chargers giving up 160-plus rush yards weeks 1 to 3 before a poor running game planned by the Raiders on Monday. B-Ball says, I can't see the Chargers stopping 2 good running backs here. If the under keeps going down, I will fire on the over. Chargers will get theirs. Topset says, I like the over here. Booger Sugar says Chargers ride till they fail. Topset says Chargers will score, and if they get ahead 2 touchdowns quick, this isn't over. Harold Williams says I love both teams, so give me the Chargers in a close one. I can't wait to watch this game. My dad has season tickets for the Chargers, and he sold his tickets for the Raiders game because I've watched him punch out strangers 3 times at sporting events in my lifetime, and he despises when fans from not the home city are cheering against the home city. He just hates that so much, and he used to hate when the Habs and the Leafs fans would come to Vancouver, and so he sold his tickets. He knew what was going to happen. He knew that the Raiders fans were going to be everywhere, so he sold his tickets so as not to be arrested. That's Browns Chargers, and no move for either of us at this point. And I agree with you. I don't think there's any need here. And you guys know I'm bullish on the Browns moving forward. Only team I made futures AFC and Super Bowl with. Okay. Burgundy Bet says Browns double up. Okay, let's move on to Giants Cowboys. That's next up. We're at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Let me set this up. Here we go. We have up-to-date injuries that I wanted to make sure that I have here for the Cowboys. Let's take a look at this market move. We have Cowboys opening up -7.5. They're now -7. This total opened up at 49.5 and it shot all the way up to 52. Bet Online's moved to 52.5. Then we have 6,266 tickets in. 74% of the tickets, 90% of the cash on the Dallas Cowboys. 36% of tickets and 50% of cash on the under. So public bets on the over, but bigger bets are coming in on the under. Yet it's moved up to 52 or 52.5. Giants come in off a big 27-21 win at New Orleans. Daniel Jones, 28 for 40 for 402 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Kenny Golladay, 6 catches for 116 yards. Kadarius Toney caught 6 for 78 yards. John Ross caught 3 for 77 yards and a touchdown. Saquon Barkley is still not running possibly at the level that we remember before the injury. But he ran 13 times for 52 yards, 1 touchdown, and caught 5 passes for 74 yards and 1 touchdown. They didn't register a single sack, and they didn't register a single quarterback hit. Jabril Peppers, their safety, left the game with a hamstring injury. He had an MRI on Monday, but he said, I was trying to get more information on it, he said that he expects to play this week. CJ Board, wide receiver, suffered a clavicle injury during Sunday's win. He's listed as questionable. Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton missed the game. They're listed as questionable this week. So without Shepard and Slayton, Daniel Jones throws for 402 yards. Cowboys come in off a 36-28 win at home over the Panthers. They were just so clearly the better football team. Dak was in complete control. If you're a fan of a football team, you got to love what he did. Just no risks. 14 of 22, 188 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. They were running the ball down Carolina's throat. Why stop? They ran 34 times as a team for 245 yards. Zeke goes 20 for 143 and a touchdown. He looks like old Zeke. And he's got something to prove now. People started doubting him. Pollard, 10 carries for 67 yards. That's part of it. Pollard wants RB1. Dak ran 4 times for 35 yards. Their defense was swarming, 5 sacks, 11 quarterback hits. Dalton Schultz has become such a weapon. 6 catches for 58 yards, 1 touchdown. Amari Cooper is still dealing with the right hamstring and rib injuries. Not expected to practice too much this week. Gallup has been moved to the injured reserve. They don't expect him to practice this week, so don't expect him in the lineup. Keanu Neal is expected to make his return from the COVID-19 list this week. He's been sitting there for a while. Trayvon Diggs left the Panthers game with back tightness. Brandon Knight, offensive tackle, is questionable this week, but should be good to go. It's just like an illness. But there are some COVID-19 protocols that this team is dealing with, and this game is very, very interesting. Bebsie, Giants, Cowboys, division battle. Take it away.
I mean, the fact that it's a division battle kind of feels like the only reason this game is close. Yeah, the New York Giants had a come-from-behind win against a suspected good team. We don't know. But it did take overtime. And winning an overtime game and trying to get up, and especially their first win. They've been bad. They've been horrible at times. Now getting yourself up, I know it's a divisional game, and you can always get yourself up in divisional matchups. But Dallas just took care of a very good Carolina Panthers team. And now they're at home against a very bad New York Giants team. Am I missing something other than the fact that it's a divisional matchup? Shouldn't the Cowboys win this game by 20? Like, shouldn't this be a blowout? Do we think Daniel Jones is going to have back-to-back stellar performances? I don't. I don't know. Talk me off this. Why would I not be bullish on the Cowboys here?
What did you think of the Saints before the Giants went into the Superdome?
I don't know what to make of the Saints. We don't have time, but I'd say play the Jameis Winston reel again. Like, I don't know what to make of that team. They're up and they're down. I do know that the Giants aren't a good football team, and beating the Saints doesn't give me any indication that they are. The Cowboys lost a very good battle week 1 against Tampa, against the defending champs. And since then, they have been perfect. I don't like the Dallas Cowboys, but they are healthy and they are playing very good football right now. And the Giants aren't healthy, and they're not a good football team. I don't know. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing here. But why not be bullish on the Cowboys here?
Talk to me about Dallas's defense, because we just saw the Giants put up points against a good defense without their expected wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. Daniel Dimes puts up 402 yards. We know he's mobile. We've never seen him more confident. Saquon Barkley looks like he's coming back. Looks like he's becoming again the player we remember before the catastrophic injury. So can the Cowboys secondary keep the Giants down? Because if they can't, this game soars over. And it already has moved from 49.5 to 52. So clearly the market is saying that, even though the big bets have come in. I take that back. 36% of tickets on the under, 50% of cash. So it's some big bets. Talk to me about this Cowboys secondary. Can they shut down the Giants?
Well, that's just it. Is why do we all of a sudden think the Giants have a dangerous pass attack? Dallas beat the Chargers. Would you not argue that Justin Herbert and his weapons are extraordinarily better than Daniel Jones and his targets?
Yeah, I would say that.
So I think this Dallas Cowboys secondary is going to be fine. Diggs is playing out of his mind. He's got 5 INTs in 4 games. He might come out of this game with 7 or 8. Daniel Jones doesn't protect the ball well. Thank you. And sorry, just getting a little drink delivery here. Somebody's got to talk me off this game, because I think Daniel Jones is going to struggle coming off such a big week. I think the Dallas Cowboys are in control right now. I can't believe I'm saying that too, with McCarthy as a head coach. But this team's believing in themselves right now. And I've been impressed with the Cowboys. And that tastes like battery acid in my mouth to say, because I hate the Cowboys. But they're looking great. And one I think fluky win against the unpredictable Saints does not change how I feel about the New York Giants.
Wow. Okay. Are you going to move on the Cowboys, the 7-point favorites with very little vig, between minus 103 and minus 110. There's a minus 120 at Sports Interaction, but very little VIG at the other books.
Why am I begging people to talk me off of this? This is my apprehension. It seems anytime something seems too obvious to me, it's dangerous. That's the only reason why I'm not jumping all over this. And I want somebody to talk me out of it.
Well, you got time to make this decision. We've seen it already move from 7.5 to 7, but 75% of the tickets and 90% of the cash is on Dallas. So I don't think this will be 6.5. Brady says, I'm not betting this game. The spot for Cowboys just seems like a flat spot to me. Easy to overlook the Giants here. Really easy. And because we bet the number 7 is too many points, caution.
You know what? That's what I was looking for. This is why I need Birdie in this chat.
Well, you got lots of time here. Lots of time. And we'll keep an eye on this market. That's Giants, Cowboys. I'm hesitant to make a move. Although the under seems in play, I don't think I want to move on it after that 2.5 point or 3 point move that's being had at the books. And if I do, I want to stare at it for the next 2 or 3 hours after the show. Dennis Garcia says, that's why I like making my own numbers. Adds perspective. For instance, my number came Dallas minus 5.5. Dallas minus 5.5. And Jalen Smith was released today, says our man Jose on the 1s and 2s. Jalen Smith was released today. Okay, let's move on to 4:25 p.m. Eastern. San Francisco 49ers at Arizona Cardinals. Niners 2-2, 2-0 on the road. Cardinals 4-0, 1-0 home at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. The Cardinals open up as 4.5 point favorites. That's moved in their direction. 5s, now 5.5. Pinnacle still hanging the 5 every other book at 5.5. There's total dropping. Opens at 53.5, now down to 50 at some books. 49.5 at BetOnline. Jesus, that's a 4-point move at BetOnline. Wow. Let's move over to the cash flow in this Niners spot. 5,396 tickets in. 61% of the tickets on Arizona. 88% of the cash on Arizona. 38% of the tickets on the under. 49% of cash on the under. Niners come in off a 28-21 home loss to the Seahawks on Sunday. They saw him lose Jimmy G to a calf injury. He's expected to be out at least 2 weeks. He was 14-23 for 165 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick before he left at halftime. Trey Lance came in, was 9 for 18 for 157 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. One of those receptions was a 76-yarder touchdown pass to Deebo Samuel, who did look excellent with both quarterbacks, catching 8 passes for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Lance throws the 76-yard TD pass to Deebo, but the Niners only crossed midfield one other time, other than that TD with 1:20 left that really did nothing other than make the score respectable. Trey Sermon did exactly what you said he would, Bebsie. And, you know, when I watched him do it, I wished that you were on that Sermon prop because you nailed it with him. Best game in the NFL, 19 carries for 89 yards. The Niners held Seattle to 3 and outs for their first 5 drives, but could only take a 7-0 lead. Robbie Gould injured his groin in warm-ups and was unavailable. It was pretty ugly to, you know, when the punter comes in and can't hit 41 yards. I mean, it was a tough break. Gould's been diagnosed with a strained groin, and he's expected to be placed. You'll know better than me, but he's expected to be placed on the injured reserve any minute.
He's on injured reserve.
He's on the injured reserve. Left tackle Trent Williams left in the second half with a shoulder injury. He's considered day-to-day. Defensive end Arden Key was evaluated for a concussion. Kittle caught 4 passes for 40 yards. He's been diagnosed with a calf injury. Kwan Williams, Josh Norman missed the Seahawks game. They remain questionable. Elijah Mitchell missed the game as well and is questionable to go in this week. Cardinals entered as the only undefeated team in the NFL. It's their longest perfect start since 2012. They haven't won the division or had a winning record since 2015. Coming off an impressive 37-20 win at previously unbeaten Rams, they put up 465 yards on last year's number 1 defense. After opening up with a punt, the Cardinals scored on 7 of 8 possessions. Kyler Murray, 24-32 for 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. He also ran 6 times for 39 yards. A.J. Green, 5 receptions for 67 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins, 4 receptions for 67 yards and a touchdown. Max Williams, 5 receptions for 66 yards and a touchdown. Chase Edmonds was a monster running the ball, 12 carries for 120 yards. He also caught 4 passes for 19 yards. When I look at all these weapons at wide receiver, it reminds me of what we were saying about the Raiders last week. Connor ran 18 times for 50 yards. Their defense got 5 hits on Stafford without getting a sack. Byron Murphy did get an interception. This is a dangerous, healthy group. Dennis Garcia says took plus 4.5 with the Niners will add to it. We'll wait to see if a 6 shows. I'll probably bet the over, especially if it gets below 50. Don't really know how you make Arizona totals this low. Burgundy Bet says, Bebsie, what the hell's happening with Ayuk? With Trey Lance looking to start, is this the week we take his props? Bebsie, take it away. Cardinals at home to the Niners.
I mean, Ayuk had a quiet week this week. He had a great week the week before. But I don't know what's going on there. Part of it is how well Debo's playing. Debo is leading the league in yards and yards after the catch. I think he's got 3 touchdowns now. Debo's looking great. But there are serious question marks. The biggest one being, everyone's talking about Jimmy G and Trey Lance. To me, the bigger thing right now is Trent Williams. Trent Williams being out would mean a rookie in Jalen Moore going up against Chandler Jones. We saw what Chandler Jones can do against an underprepared tackle in week 1. He was an absolute monster. So it's his playing is very, very important the way this goes. Elijah Mitchell should be ready to go. They released 2 of the running backs they signed. He was questionable for last week with the shoulder thing. I think he goes this week, and you'll see the Mitchell and Sermon show. And I believe they'll get Josh Norman back. Although Drake Kirkpatrick didn't play terrible football, which surprised me to say the least. But looks like Trey Lance is going to play. He's not ready. As most of these rookie quarterbacks have looked, they don't look ready. But he is a supreme athlete, as we've seen. We saw at North Dakota State, and this kid can fly. And for such a big dude, he's a pretty shifty runner. So that'll cause a wrinkle in Arizona. Now, something fun, just as a 49ers fan, noticing that the Niners always beat the Cardinals when they're good and lose to the Cardinals when they're bad. It's a really weird thing that keeps happening time and again with them. I would not put money on the Cardinals in this, especially with just like the Niners being shit on this week. So it's a tough spot for the Cards. But that said, Kyler Murray has been looking great. There are so many different weapons on this offense right now. But I wouldn't have any confidence betting on them. The big thing is I would wait and find out what's happening with Trent Williams. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Trey Lance getting the start, although Garoppolo has said because it's only a calf contusion, he might be ready to go. Now, Garoppolo is going to be inspired to play because he knows that if Trey Lance goes in and lights it up, he's never playing another game in that 49ers jersey. So I think he'll be motivated to play. Those are two massive question marks going into this game.
I think you're right about Trent Williams. I also think that we can sit back and wait. We talk about fading a team off a season-defining victory. Feels like the Cardinals had that last week.
And the Niners are coming off a salty loss.
Yeah.
Very tough spot for the Cards.
Brady says, how can the Cards prepare for the 49ers here? Lance gets a full week of practice. Cards coming off a huge win. Niners money line in play. Lean the under here. Flat spot for the Cardinals. 49ers will run, then run some more.
Yeah, he's spot on right now, and Birdie, and he's saying posturing Bebsie. You may say Jimmy may play. Hi, my dog is trying to get her 2 cents in as well. They do. The Cards have to prepare for both guys, and I don't know which one's better right now. Jimmy is a little more reliable, gets the ball out quicker. But, Trey Lance is electric. And he's got a big bomb, and he can throw to the outside, and he can open up Shanahan's playbook. It's just whether he has the confidence right now or not. And Trent Williams has a lot to do with that. I don't know about you, but if I was facing Chandler Jones, I would way rather have Trent Williams than a rookie left tackle out there.
I think that's the most important aspect of this football game from a betting standpoint. Will Trent Williams be there to protect Trey Lance, who may or may not be ready? Iceman 57 says Lance better have his dental records handy after J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones are through. Well, that won't be an issue if Trent Williams is there. So Brady says if I was a 49ers fan, I'd be very excited right now. Harold Williams says y'all going to learn about the Cardinals. This is the perfect spot to bet against the Cardinals. We know that about betting. They're coming off beating the team that beat the Super Bowl champions on the road. Now, I wish it wasn't a divisional football game. It'd be much better if the Cardinals were coming home to play a team from a different conference. The fact that it's a divisional game against the Niners may keep them sharper than I'd like them to be. But look, I could be wrong here. Cardinals could win by 20. But I don't see a way that the Cardinals aren't going to be overvalued after that win last week.
Also, the Niners in their last 10 road games are 7-3, and they're 1-9 at home over the last 10. Mind you, a ton of that has to do with injuries and who's been starting a quarterback, but some food for thought for those of you in the chat.
Well, Trent Williams is the key for me.
It's big. And I think he will go, but he's so important.
And let's say, okay, quickly before we put a bow on this, Trent Williams is playing. Expectations of Trey Lance.
I think we'll see more of what we've seen from him in preseason and what we've seen in him in limited snaps. Look, he came in, he was obviously extremely nervous. He saw his first two passes were terrible. He just chucked one right into the dirt. Then he threw another one behind. But Trey Lance settles down as the game goes on. I think he'll get off to a rocky start. But as soon as he lets his athleticism into the game, and Shanahan is trying to protect him. I don't know if that's the right strategy or not. Who am I to say Shanahan has forgotten more about football than I'll ever know? But if he turns him loose, we see him rolling out more. When he gets into space, he becomes extremely dangerous. And look, he evaded the pass rush well last week. And, as soon as you saw him take off, like for a guy as big as him, he moves fast. He had the little chip in his shoulder, and he recorded faster speeds running than Lamar Jackson did. The difference being Trey Lance is, 6'5", 230. So he's a big boy, but he can move. So I expect a rocky start from him. And if Trey Lance is the starter, first quarter Arizona would be my look. But full game, I don't know. I wouldn't bet on Cardinals full game. I'll put it to you that way.
Well, this is going to be so much fun. It's going to be fun when we talk about it again on Sunday in the NFL Pub Hub show. Trent Williams is the main factor in this game for me. Niners, Cardinals. I would like to bet against the Cardinals after a victory like last week's. I want to bet against every team that has a season-defining injury all year long, and it would have worked every single game except for Chargers against Raiders. We move on to the Sunday nighter, and it is the most exciting game on the card. Buffalo Bills, 3-1, 1-0 on the road at the Kansas City Chiefs, 2-2, 1-1 at home. We're at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. Chiefs open up as 3-point favorites. Bet365, BetOnline, Heritage have moved it to 2.5. This total opened up at 57. It's moved down to 56.5. Bet Online's moved it down to 56. Let's see if the cash flow correlates with those market moves. 5,472 tickets in. 38% of the tickets on the Chiefs and 58% of the cash on the Chiefs. 42% of tickets on the under. 88% of cash on the under. Birdie says, my second best bet of the week, KC minus 2.5. Harold Williams, right underneath, is on the Bills at 2.5. Slatsy says there will be points here, but the total's high. Taking Bills team total 26.5 versus a very suspect Chiefs defense. Buffalo comes in off a dominating 40-0 shutout win at home over the Texans. Josh Allen, 28-29 for 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Stephon Diggs caught 7 passes for 114 yards. Emmanuel Sanders caught 5 passes for 74 yards. Dawson Knox, 5 receptions for 37 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Bills ran 40 times for 199 yards. Singletary ran 14 times for 79 yards. Shout out to our very own Billy Briz, who said he had to add Zach Moss props. Zach Moss gets the touchdown that Billy Briz had at plus 180. I don't have his stats in front of me, but he had 14 carries for, I believe, around 70 yards. I don't have it in front of me. Bills defense swarmed Davis Mills, sacked him 3 times. Micah Hyde, Tremaine Edmonds, Tyler Matakevich came in as a replacement for Matt Milano, who got hurt and caught a pick and looked very good doing it. Jaquan Johnson also had an interception. Cam Lewis forced a fumble. The Bills limited Houston to 109 yards of offense, 8 in the first half, 6 first downs. Their second shutout in 3 weeks. Buffalo did it with Johnson starting in place of veteran safety Jordan Poyer. He missed last week's game. He's also listed as questionable this week. Lewis filling in for cornerback Taron Johnson. Taron Johnson also listed as questionable this week, missed last week. Matakevich replacing Milano. In our sports talk in Toronto, we get 5:50 a.m. I'm on all the time because 5-9, whatever. I won't talk about the fan, but I'm on the Buffalo radio channel all the time, and it's all talk about all the last couple months how deep this Bills defense is. And I knew it was on the front 7, but now we're seeing it right across the board. A very, very deep defense. Chiefs coming off a 42-30 win in Philadelphia. Andy Reid returned to Philadelphia. 100th career win with the Chiefs. First coach in NFL history to win 100 games with 2 franchises. Mahomes goes 24 for 30 for 278 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. Tyreek Hill caught 11 passes for 186 yards, 3 touchdowns. No one else caught more than 23 yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire ran 14 times for 102 yards. Darrell Williams added 10 carries for 42 yards, touchdown. Chiefs got 3 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. Frank Clark hamstring, Charvarius Ward quad, and Rashard Fenton with the concussion were all inactive. If we go to their injury report right now, we have them all the same situation. There's a chance that Willie Gay, linebacker, could be activated from the injured reserve. And Joshua Kando's ankle injury, defensive end, is being placed on injured reserve. Ben Neiman has cleared concussion protocol, linebacker. So, that whether Willie Gay comes in or not, they're covered. Crystal Warren says this is first big test for that Bills D. Dennis Garcia says Kansas City doesn't care about many regular season games. Why would they? Last year, Baltimore this and that. KC cared and destroyed them. All week you're going to hear Buffalo this and that. Kansas City brings their best. Dizzy Rothstein says Kansas City all day. Here we go, Bebsie. Most exciting game on the card, Bills Chiefs.
Look, I think this is going to be a great game. And before I lay a bet, I'm going to sit back and watch where the money goes. I don't like disagreeing with guys like Birdie and Dennis Garcia, very sharp cappers. But what this boils down to for me is, okay, the Chiefs are at home. And Arrowhead is a very, very difficult place for any team to play. And, the Bills got smacked the last time they played the Chiefs. However, this is a Chiefs team that defensively has looked awful, beyond awful. And they're going up against a very talented Bills offense. Now, the Chiefs offense, we all know they're good. That's no secret. Pat Mahomes, pretty solid player. Tyreek Hill, not bad. Kelsey's even a pretty solid tight end. However, this Bills defense has been looking great. And other than a surprise meltdown loss in week 1, this team should be undefeated. 2 shutouts already this year. They are, and yeah, not against not great teams. Well, Miami's okay, but they embarrassed Miami. They didn't even have to try against Houston. I just think the Bills and points is the right look here. Again, I'm not going to jump on it. I'm going to sit back and watch the money. I just think they're a way better balanced team. Look, the Chiefs have an incredible offense. The Bills don't have as good an offense as the Chiefs, but they still have a very good offense. And their defense is great, and the Chiefs' defense is terrible. So the only way the Chiefs win is if this over is hit. So if you're going to bet the Chiefs, you better be betting the over as well. Again, I'm going to sit back and watch where the money goes in this, because it's not, a lot of people are going to be like, well, this is recency bias or the way the Bills have been playing. No, I was bullish on the Bills before the season started, and I was shocked by that week 1 loss. I have not been shocked by the way I've been playing since, and I like the Bills here.
I am going to be on the other side. I'm going to take the Chiefs at this -2.5 that Bet365 is making available for me. Let me just make sure that's not a stale line. And it isn't. I think the Bills may end up being a better team than the Chiefs. I think it's possible. The Chiefs may end up not even being the best team in their own division. But right now, at 2-2, coming home, I think that it's a statement game for this football team. Dennis Garcia says this. He says, Buffalo lost to Pittsburgh. I was on Pittsburgh in that game. Then blew out Miami, Washington, and Houston. What do all those teams have in common? They all suck. Buffalo quarterbacks face Statue Ben, Brissett, Heineke, Mills. Then he laughs to himself. Raldi says, as a Buffalo fan, I can promise this game has been circled for Bills for months. Stephon Diggs' famous photo of watching the Chiefs celebrate says it all. The Bills may be a better team come December than the Chiefs. But right now, if you're going to offer me the Chiefs at -2.5 under a field goal at home in a game where they need to make a statement to everybody in their conference, this is a must bet on the Chiefs to me. A must bet at -2.5. I'm so fortunate to get the -2.5, and I'm going to bet this as soon as this show is over. So I am in on the -2.5. Now, I agree with you that if the Chiefs win, then that the over should be in play. But I don't make a habit of betting high 50s totals. And even though it correlates with the Chiefs winning, seeing 41% of the tickets on the under, 88% of cash on the under, it goes against something I'm trying to establish here for my own capping. Seeing 38% of tickets on the Chiefs, 62% tickets on the Bills, and then 58% of that cash on the Chiefs and only 42% of the Bills, it works perfectly with what I want to be doing. So I am moving on the Chiefs -2.5, and I can't fucking wait for this football game. Bebsie, do you want to make anything official here? Because it looks like those threes are going away. Pinnacle opened this up with Chiefs -3, -110. The Chiefs -3 is now +108. So Bet Online, Bet365, and Heritage have all moved to 2.5. So if you want the Bills +3, I don't want to push you into something, but I would think you'd probably take it now. Now you could buy up to the 3 at any time.
Yeah, like I said at the start, I'm going to watch where the money goes in this one before I make a play. But again, it's not that I think the Bills' defense is incredible because they haven't. It's not like they've been facing difficult offenses. I just think Kansas City's defense sucks.
Yeah.
One team has a good offense and a good defense. The other team has a good offense and a shitty defense. And I understand they're going to get up and play this game. But I don't see it the same way you guys do. And that's fine. We're allowed to be different.
In a neutral field, Bills would be half-point favorites here. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And again, the Bills may be the better team come December. But now,
here's a question. Dennis Garcia said that the Chiefs don't. I can't see the chat, so I have to flip over to it. But he said something to the effect that the Chiefs don't care about regular season games. So why do they care about this one?
Because they're 2-2 and everyone's talking about the Bills. It's a different spot. Usually they're, comfortably ahead in the division with nothing to worry about, and they don't care.
I simply don't believe they are that good that they can pick and choose when to give a shit. I think they care. Each week they care. I think that's something we have made up as observers because sometimes they don't put the throttle down. But to insinuate that a pro football team of championship caliber doesn't care week in and week out, I don't buy that. And I especially don't buy that from a defense because defensive football players have pride like you wouldn't believe. And this defense isn't good. They're just not. They've got a couple of good players, but they are soft everywhere else outside of Matthews, Tyrann Mathieu, and Chris Jones. They're soft.
Yeah, and everybody's saying it. And I think they're going to listen.
All right.
Whether they can do anything about it, I don't know. But bagging the Chiefs minus 2.5, minus 115, 5 cents of extra vig. Moving on this tonight. That is your Sunday nighter. I can't wait for it. And Bebsie has all week to add the Bills to his card. And Bebsie will be joining us Sunday as well. We move on to the Monday nighter, October 11th, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Indianapolis Colts 1-3, 1-1 on the road at the Baltimore Ravens 3-1, 1-0 at home. We're at M&T Bank Stadium in Charm City, Baltimore, Maryland. The Ravens open up as 7-point favorites. They've not done anything to prove to me that they deserve to be 7-point favorites. Now, I know they just stomped on the Broncos, and I was on the Broncos after, it took me a long time. I didn't bet the Broncos until before the game, and I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have just because the 80% of the tickets were on the Ravens, but then 88% of the cash was on the Ravens, and I should not put myself in that spot when I know that the bigger bets are coming in on a certain team. And shout out to all of you guys who were on the Ravens. You were absolutely right. This total's gone from 48 down to 46 or 45.5. There's a 45.5 at UWager, Heritage, Intertops, and Bet365. Let's go right to the cash. 3,808 tickets in. 64% of the tickets are on the Ravens and 44% of the cash. Man, they don't want to bet these fucking Colts right now. 61% of the tickets are on the under and 63% of the cash. Break it down. Colts coming off their first win of the season, 27-17 at Miami. Carson Wentz had lost 7 straight starts. They dominated that game. They outgained the Colts 226-15 over the second and third quarters. Carson Wentz, 24 for 32 for 228 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Michael Pittman Jr. caught 6 passes for 59 yards. Zach Pascal caught 4 passes for 44 yards. Mo Alley Cox caught 3 passes for 42 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor, I thought he was vulnerable in this spot after getting his knee drained. Ran 16 times for 103 yards, 1 touchdown. Darius Leonard, 8 tackles, 1 for a loss, 1 pass deflected. Colts got 3 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. Indianapolis had allowed 421 yards rushing in its first 3 games. 140 to Seattle, 101 to the Rams, 180 to the Titans. Against the Dolphins. And we know the Dolphins have a very weak running back crew. They gave up 35 yards on 16 attempts. Quentin Nelson missed his first game of his career. He's being placed on the IR with an ankle injury. Safety Kari Willis, cornerback Rock Yassin, offensive tackle Braden Smith, and defensive end Kwity Paye all missed the game last week. They're listed as questionable to go this week. Ravens come in to the Monday Nighter off their 3rd straight win, 23-7 in Denver. They tied the Steelers' NFL record of 43 straight 100-yard rushing games in dubious circumstances, but I get it, and I have no problem with them doing it. Broncos went all out trying to stop Lamar Jackson from scrambling. That was all Fangio, I think, was just trying to stop this 100-yard streak. While it worked, he ran for just 7 times for 20 yards. He beat them up through the air, 22 for 37, 316 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Only twice in his NFL career has he ever thrown more passing yards than he did, and only once in the regular season. Marquise Brown caught 4 passes for 91 yards and 1 touchdown. James Prochet caught 5 passes for 74 yards. Nice to see him shine in the NFL after seeing a lot of those moments in college. Mark Andrews caught 5 passes for 67 yards. Latavius Murray ran 18 times for 59 yards, 1 touchdown. The Ravens defense was swarming the Broncos quarterbacks. They knocked Bridgewater out of the game with a concussion, 5 sacks, 11 quarterback hits. Justin Tucker is now last year for the first time, Justin Tucker looked vulnerable. He was missing kicks that I'd never seen him miss before, and I was like, God, I guess he's just done. Now he kicks a 66-yarder, and I bet you it's nice kicking in the thin air. He was perfect there, a 46-yarder and a 20-yarder. Alejandro Villanueva, knee injury. He's questionable to go this week. Derek Wolfe, defensive end, was placed on injured reserve before the game. The Ravens were hoping to make take Miles Boykin off injured reserve, but he was not activated. He's still dealing with a hamstring injury. Will we see Rashad Bateman make his pro debut Monday? Possible. Ronnie Stanley and Deshaun Elliott, offensive tackle, safety, respectively, remain questionable. The Monday Nighter, Bebsie. Dennis Garcia says, Indy's the only way you can play at this elevation, under 2. Take it away.
What was that? He
says, Indy is the only way you can play at this evaluation. Sorry, I said my fault. Elevation, I said. Dennis Garcia said, Indy's the only way you can play at this evaluation, under 2.
Yeah, I'll it's nice to know Dennis and I are back on the same page here. I think it's Indy or no play here. I think it's a flat spot for the Ravens. And man, this Colts team was supposed to be better than they've been. They're better than a 1-3 record. Jimmy, I think you're absolutely right that Fangio cared too much about stopping that record. And if you need more proof, if you watch that sideline cam, Fangio wasn't mad that they ran a play until he got the yards. And then Fangio lost his shit. So that tells me he did care about that, which tells me he had the wrong approach to this game. Also losing Teddy Bridgewater was huge. It helped the Ravens. I look at this as Indy or no play. I think these are both pretty evenly matched teams. A lot of it comes down to whether or not Carson Wentz can be terrible or a game manager. But yeah, look for them to attack heavy once again with Jonathan Taylor. And I think the Colts can pull off an upset here.
Yeah, but I don't think we need to worry about that. I think just keep it within 7. We've seen a 6-cent move already to the Colts. We see a ticket spot where we have 36% of the tickets on the Colts, but 56% of the cash. I think we lock in this 7 right now. The question is, do we let the total go because it's move 2 points or 2.5 points, depending on where you shop. What do we do with this total? Opening up at 48, now down to 46 at Pinnacle.
I mean, I'm surprised it opened at 48. For anybody who got the under at 48, I'd love that. But this still screams under to me. I don't see a high-scoring affair here. Do you?
No, I definitely don't. Watching,
Which, again, favors your cover.
the Colts just can't stretch defenses. I mean, if Pittman Jr. is the best receiver they've got, he can barely do it. I don't think T.Y. Hilton's going to come in, and save the day when he does come in a couple weeks, if he comes in a couple weeks. So they're always going to be, like the Mo Alley Cox. There's going to be more and more Mo Alley Cox, and you should have, like, when Carson Wentz was talking about Mo Alley Cox after the game, he was blushing, with such a capable big body that he's got. And he was saying that Mo Alley Cox plays big too, because there's big guys who don't play big. The Colts will always beat you in low-scoring games. They're never going to put up 35+, I don't think. So I think both spots are live right now, Colts and the under. Let's just take one last look at the cash flow and the under here. 61% ticket, 63% of cash. We see it dropping. I think both spots are live right now. I think both spots are appealing. Bebsie, I'm just going to quickly take a look at this weather here. Baltimore weather on Monday. Can we get any help there? No, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous night in Baltimore. Gorgeous. It's going to be about 72 with no wind and beautiful. I don't even think that's too big. Iceman says Colts and under is my play. Bebsie making ton of sense tonight. That's Iceman. Bebsie, are you going to make anything official here?
Thanks, Iceman. Appreciate it. No, I'm going to hold off. I want to look at this game more. I got a question mark beside like 7 plays right now. Of course, I'm not going to move on all of them, but expect me to move on some of them.
Well, I'm going to move on the Colts for sure here in a second, and I'm very interested in this under. It'll take a little bit more time. Let's review all action now. Thank you guys so much for hanging with us on Pub Sports Radio. We broke down all 16 games, and it takes a little bit of time. Here it took 3 hours and 2 minutes. Thursday, October 7th, the Thursday nighter. I like the Rams to bounce back in this spot. And I don't want the horrific penalties I took betting the last week's Thursday nighter to get in the way of backing the Rams. I also don't want the market move because it's still under the key number to stop me from betting it, but I will stare at it for longer. Bebsie's moved on the over 46 in Jets Falcons, a -105 at Pinnacle. As much as Bebsie doesn't like Thursday nighters, I don't like betting in England. ROI on both those spots are poor for me. I'm interested in the Bengals +3. I need to stare at it. Dutch Boy Fresh moved on the Bengals team total over 24. That 3's not going to be around for long. Vikings at home to the Lions. I know they want to smash and grab, but it's hard for me to want the Vikings at that big of a favorite price, but I may do that tonight. I'm going to be sitting here for the next 2 or 3 hours staring at these games. Broncos I'm interested in, and Dennis Garcia made this salient point saying, if Locke plays and Ben is injured but plays, you bet Denver. Because the market will react to Teddy Covers not starting, but they will not react to Ben's injury. So you get to fade an injured quarterback at a better number. I'm very interested in them announcing Bridgewater's out and then moving on to Broncos. I want both the under in the Dolphins-Bucks game and the Dolphins +10. I want them both, but it's going to take balls to make those bets, but I want them both. And I expect to bet them both. Then Dennis moved on the Saints Washington football team over 44. I don't know what to do with this game, and Bebsie's off of it. I'm going to stare at that for a little longer. Eagles, Panthers, no move for either of us. Bebsie moved on the Titans -4 at -108 at Pinnacle, and it makes a lot of sense to me.
I'm just fading Urban Meyer at this point.
I want to make sure that's not the only thing for me. So I want to make sure it's not, Then Bebsie moved on the under 40 at -110 in Patriots Texans. And I want the Texans +9. But that's going to be another spot that I stare at. And anything I make official, anything that I bet, I'll then tweet out that I've done it. So you can follow that at Jimmy the Bag. And also with Rob's stuff, I tweet out whatever Rob's on. That's on Twitter at Rob_Bebenek. Then Bebsie moved on the double up on the Raiders, and I want to join them. I think the Bears are ready to get smacked fuck up. Browns Chargers is just a gorgeous football game that we've not moved on. Giants Cowboys, no moves for us. Trent Williams, the key in the Niners game. Need to find out whether he's going to be in the lineup. I am moving on the Chiefs -2.5 with confidence. And then I'm going to move on the Colts, and I think I'm going to move on the under. I need to put a little bit more time into it, but I'm going to move on the Colts. There you have it. Birdie, by the way, added the Vikings first half and full game, and the under in the Colts game. Razor Strap Pick says would wait for Vegas to show their hand on Bengals Packers with line movement. Points won't matter either side you take. JT's on the Rams -2, New England, Houston under 40, Tennessee -4, Green Bay, Cincinnati over 49.5, Saints money line, and that's a 6-point tealer with Dallas and Vegas. Oh, Bebsie, you put in a good fight. We have buys. Buys start next week. The show will be shorter, I promise you that. But thank you for fighting the good fight with us, man. We love capping with you, and I know there's going to be a plus unit sign by your record by the end of the year. I know that. I truly believe
it. Simply has to be, Jimmy.
Well, it's always been that way, so why wouldn't it be? On behalf of all of us, thank you so much to the chat. Bebs, do you have any last words for the chat before we put a bow on this?
Thank you guys so much for sticking around for this marathon. Thank you for talking me in and out of games. I hate that I'm against 3 cappers that I respect so greatly in this Bills thing. That's why I haven't bet it yet, but I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. I apologize for my dog wanting my attention so much right now.
Oh, it's nice to be wanted. There's Boston Nick in the house. We love you. Nicky Fish Tanks. Woo! And Dennis Garcia would make the over under 3 hours for the show. We're not going to have to worry. No, buys starting. We'll have to worry again week 14. On behalf of Bebsie, our producer, Jose Bouquet. Jose should give us a quick update on the wildcard game. Jose, can we get a quick update on the wildcard game?
Jimmy, what did I tell you? You think I was fucking scared of all these fucking people betting the Yankees like fucking idiots? Buffoons? Fucking donkeys out there putting their money on Yankees -140? -140? Donkeys. Bebsie, I got a bone to pick with you, Bebsie.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
I got a bone to pick with you.
I know you've had a couple of drinks.
I've had a couple drinks. I'm sorry. I've come on here and I've gone on my rant and you sat there silently. I don't know where your allegiances lie, Bebsie. I don't know if you're with us or against us.
What are you talking about?
He's talking about he's a Red Sox fan. Here, let me answer you, Jose. We hate your fucking Red Sox.
Yeah, just because I hate you less than the other team doesn't mean I'm.
No, that matters.
Okay, yes, we hate the Yankees more than the Red Sox.
Yeah, I'm glad the team I hate slightly less than the other team is winning.
Good,
but I'm not going to celebrate it.
You should. I want to feel that. So I want to feel it, Bebsie. I need some energy from you. The Red Sox just went and fucking embarrassed the New York Yankees. Bebsie, did you know Babe Ruth played for the Yankees, Bebsie?
Jose,
did you know this?
Are you at the Southtown 101 right now?
Do you know
Of course I am. Do you hear this karaoke night right now?
I think
We're
Babe
fucking
Ruth
bumping
played
up
for
here.
another team too.
We don't talk about that, Bebsie. We don't. He's
Jose,
a murderer. He murdered his wife.
Jose, could you please be Urban Meyer tonight? Be Urban Meyer.
I'm not a big two in the stink kind of guy like Urban is.
No.
I'm not a kind of guy that takes, I guess he didn't take this female. He just, was just sitting there on the bench and on this stool, and this female just came up to him and just sat on his lap, apparently, right in front of the picture where he and his wife were right there staring at him. And then when the girl saw the picture, she was like, "Hey, who's this?" And Urban said, "No, nobody. No one. Don't worry about it." And he rolls off. I hope he doesn't get fired because I have Matt Nagy, first coach, fired. So stay forever, Urban. You're the man, my man.
We did get a $3.69 dono with the term Jose fake Red Sox fan.
Well, yeah, fake Red Sox fans. I'm the fucking dumb motherfucker that betting on the Yankees tonight. Fucking idiot, Boston Nick. Fucking who? Why would you bet? Your name is Boston Nick. You're gonna bet on the Yankees on a fucking 1-game playoff? You buffoon! You animal! What do you think you're doing?
Okay, we gotta put a ball on this bad boy.
Drunk Jose is my favorite Jose.
Yes,
Bebsie. Here's the thing about me, Bebsie. I'm a cheap drink. I'm an absolutely filthy cheap drink. I've had 2 beers and we're confident right now. If you saw me on the shots day, you would think a whole different side. If you saw my rental car, Bebsie, you'd probably just shake your head at me in disgust.
Oh man, and I think he also smoked too, which also helps.
Who's to say? Who's to say?
On behalf of Jose and the Red Sox now being a part of the playoffs in Major League Baseball, Bebsie on the One Tues. Bebsie, very quickly, where can we see you for any of the Canadian fans watching? Where are you performing next?
Where am I? I'm in Ottawa in a couple of weeks. October 22nd, 23rd. I'll be in the nation's capital performing there. Where else am I? I don't know, man. If you live in Toronto or in the GTA, I do a weekly show at Tall Boys. Every Thursday night, I host a bunch of headliners at Tall Boys. Come to that show. It's fucking great.
On behalf of all of us and Jeff Slaughter here at Pub Sports Radio, thank you guys for your support. Big ass show. Let's get paid in full this week. Let's get Bebsie back into the black, and let me get back into the healthy black. Jose, congratulations on your Red Sox. Thank you guys all so much for your support. Let's have a giant week 5 in the NFL.